right? We see Keumsae.
Hello. I think okay, do this. Maybe let me figure it out that one.
Oh, come on right here.
Give it to me. You have
Someone
to
come in right now.
oh, wait a minute. What? Happy birthday!
Oh, thank you.
Is that your birthday?
Yes, it is. Today's my birthday.
Wait a
So,
minute. Okay, here we go. Oh, hello, guys.
okay, okay. We see you. Hey, Andre, I see you too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Andre,
out of her camera.
do you?
Let me figure it out your phone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Today, Animated J birthday.
Yeah. Animated J, happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you, Andre. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Wait,
See?
what? Oh, nice. 1 second. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries. I'll be right back. I'm use the restroom. I'll be like in 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Take your time.
people,
Take your time.
yeah,
Let me
we're
get this
getting
open
people
up.
joining in.
All right, got it.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Why is it here?
Because you didn't make it tight. Right here.
Okay, so, and then I'm going out outside.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep-a-doo. Keep-a-doo.
Come on, kids.
We're gonna try to go like that, right?
Huh?
We're trying to go like this. Everybody there, can you see me?
He going restroom right now.
Oh.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Hello. Good to
How you
see you
doing?
guys.
Good to see
Hey, look at
you.
that.
Good to see you. Oh, we act like we're not in the same place right now. That's six.
I can hear
It's an
you on my
illusion.
You can
I
see
can
me.
hear you on my camera real quick.
You can
Oh, I can put
put
the
it
ears
on your
in.
earring. Earring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Ooh.
All right, all right. Let's see. I see. Yep, we got Kumse, Andre, Colin chilling there. All right, all right. And you can hear me, right? You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So good. So good.
Sound really good.
Awesome.
Happy birthday to you.
That's gonna be the intro to the video, the happy birthday. Um, yeah, man. So first I want to thank Kumse Andre for taking time from their day to hop onto this interview and share their stories, share their knowledge, experience. So first of all, shout out to you guys for doing that. And then a little bit of context of these interviews. So I know animation has been a big topic, I feel, recently with, different animation events and Paris having, animation week and, events in China. They're doing animation events. Russia's doing animation events. So I feel like it's been popular. People have been talking more about it. Colin and other groups of animators, current generation, I would say, have been really asking questions, and I'm gonna let somebody in. Have been really asking the questions. People been talking about what is animation. People doing interviews. Yaya with Unimate. So again, a hot topic. So we've been Colin, myself, and some other dancers, roboters specifically, we were like, why don't we interview different animators? Why don't we interview different people, hear their story, and hear what was it like when they were around, when they were in it, when they first started? What did it look like, the robot? What did the animation look like? Where did they see it? How did they get started? So pretty much we've been previously to this interview, I've interviewed some of the Oakland dancers, some
Okay.
of the Oakland Boogaloo dancers. I've interviewed Midnight, so I just was talking with Midnight. Um, and then we're also going to interview Dragon House after. We want to do just to ask them what was their story. So I guess the first question I want to ask Kumse, and then I'm going to ask Andre the same question is, How did you get into two parts? How did you get into robot, and then how did you get into animation? That would be my question. So Kumse, if you want to share first, and then I'll pass it to Andre.
My story is when I'm getting interesting in robot and animation. You mean,
Yes.
right?
How did you get into robot, and how did you get into animation?
I think the first thing I saw it kind of like similar to robot and animation move, and I saw from Michael Jackson, I guess.
Mm.
And then after that, I just really love it because it looked like unhuman.
Mhm.
And what year was that?
I don't remember that one. I think he coming to I think in black or white song music video. I guess
Mhm.
I don't remember. It's too long time ago, so I don't know exactly. So I think that's my first influence for see some people doing robot and animation type just a little bit, but look very unhuman, And then after that, and then I think and I'm studying to learning that culture, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's happening to me.
Okay. The Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
Okay, the robot. Okay.
yeah.
And were you in LA, or where were you at this time?
That time I'm in Korea.
In Korea.
Yeah, I'm watching his music video in on the TV.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did you hear about animation?
First time I start dance, I think in my age is 17, and I'm doing industry work for 2 years in Korea.
Okay.
And that time I getting a little bit of knowledge, and I know, oh, here has some industry and have some underground. And then I'm start like searching what type of dancing I like it, and then they say, oh, that's the animation, oh, that's the robot or something. That time everybody's saying animation, But
Mm-hmm.
so they say, oh, that's the animation style, and then oh, okay, and then I start searching, and then I find that that time only Korea have one animation crew, only
Oh,
one, because that time scene is very small,
okay.
so we don't have that much
Who
right
was
now.
who was the animation crew in Korea?
That time is Myeosang and Wave Gino crew.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
seen them. Okay.
You know Wave Gino?
I've seen
Oh
movies on it. I saw
wow!
some YouTube. Okay, okay.
Oh my goodness, because not a lot of people know about it because it's really OG and OG in Korea. Oh, I cannot say OG, but
Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry.
In Korea's
In Korea,
timeline. Yeah.
yeah. There's only one animation crew that time. So I just go up to Wave Chino, and then I don't know, I just wanted to move in like this. I cannot even say name because I don't know. I don't have no knowledge. And he's oh, that's the robot and that's the animation. And then that's the how I'm first time experience for robot and animation.
Interesting. Do you know you said Wave Gino?
Yeah, Milsong.
Song.
They
Do you know if they learned from, like, were they ever in LA? Were they ever
actually now I feel like I think in Wave Gino stars that time in Korea, they think he's very unique.
hmm,
What he doing is something different than other people. So like he calling down his voting
okay.
himself. But now I feel like he got an influence because he traveled a lot even that time. You
Okay.
know, I think he sees something in here. I think he saw him bopping. I feel
Interesting.
like yeah. So I think he trying to, but he don't know how to do that stuff. I'm not sure. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? But I can kind of tell because how he moving things is like it's something like that. Oh, I think he trying to do bopping. But he don't know what it is. So like, I think he called himself a bopping or something.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't know. I have to.
Okay. No, okay. Okay. So
hmm
Robot Michael Jackson and
Song, yeah.
Muyosong was the animation. Okay.
hmm
Now, so Andre, how did you hear of the robot dance, and then also as well animation?
So my my account of robot has already been put out a long, long, long time ago.
Okay.
I in '68, when I was 5 years old, I got set in front of a television station in Oklahoma, and on that station, all the movies uh, that were put out way before that time. That's when I first seen them. So they were in recyclement already. So there was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang,
Right.
you know, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Mm-hmm.
even the Sinbad movies, and all of this stuff were what influenced me was some people on TV.
Mm.
That's correct. The robot part, which was the ticking part of what I ended up incorporating, was me trying to be the doll, which is called a mechanical dog. I'm not the only one who ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I seen it. It was a white girl in the movie. That's when I first seen somebody imagining, not it was the first time it was ever done, but that's the first time I saw somebody doing a doll, like a ticking doll with a mirror around it. And Dick Van Dyke, who was also in the movie, he did a clown like coming out of the Jack in the Box, and I imitated that. And I put both of those together with most of the stuff that I did. There was somebody called HR Puffin stuff for the thing. There was a mechanical boy. I am a mechanical boy. He was like from London because the Beatles was very famous. They was getting the monkey stuff to make TV programs over here. And I copied his mechanical boy. You can always find these references. At that time, that was 1968 for me. And that's when I started seeing and influence it. By 1967, 68, by 68, I was good at it. Like I could do them probably just as good as I saw them doing them. And I was renowned for that. Now, the
Okay.
funny part about that is that I came to LA uh, only in 74 when I was 11 years old. So
Hmm.
I was doing this stuff all the way back there in Oklahoma and dancing and forever doing whatever and was fairly good at it. When I came here in 74, um, I had got introduced to some people who were dancing, and everybody to me was dancing, doing the moves like lockers, but they didn't call it locking at that time. And that was they blew up around that time, and it was been told to me that they started locking. Everybody was trying to robot, but robot. I don't. People don't mention these names, but there were like three already great robots in LA when I was 11 years old when I came here. Slim the robot from the Lockers got very famous.
Hmm.
Now he was one of the LA OGs, I believe. And then there was a guy called, and I'm only putting this for history reference.
Right.
So they were. There was also John Boy and the Robot Brothers, who was doing a pantomime version of a robot to the music. Uh, and I don't know where he originates from, whether it be North Oakland, Fresno, whatever. I do not know. I have contact with him eventually, and I'll kind of find that out. And there was a guy called Dexter Roots, a twin midget looking guy who was really good. Those were the three OGs of LA as far as I was concerned. Not that they were the only robots, they were renowned in the streets already. And
Hmm.
as a kid, I got pretty noticed because I was doing some things that robots wasn't doing. This was mainly ticking. Those robots that was doing this was doing robots and vibrating. That was the power of robot. And at that time, locking had just got known. So all robots was known as street OGs, including me. I'm a kid, but I was in the robot phase. That was the first phase of street dancing, like hood ghetto dancing in the streets of LA was robot. And yeah, people like James Brown made it famous. And in 74, 75, the end of 74, 75, Dancing Machine came out and Michael Jackson had his robot that got famous that pushed it on to other people as well.
Hmm.
So just to let you know that there's a time frame when people came into the game and when they saw something compared to when it was first out.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. So I'm hearing correctly. You were roboting already in Oklahoma at a very
Yes.
okay. So where and then you came to
And
LA.
I was pretty good already the year after I started to try to practice. Like I'm talking about, I could tell you I was already good enough to handle whoever was roboting at that
Okay. And then
time.
you came to
So
LA and then there were other roboters already there.
there were other robots that were already here, and I do not know when they started. Like, did they see the same thing I saw in '68, or did they see it way before? Because most people were older than me already, and I can't tell you when it circulated here in LA compared to being in Oklahoma. I can only tell you when the year I saw it. It was the year my grandmother got a television, and we changed from radio to TV. That was '68. I was 5 years old.
Okay. Okay. So that okay. And then what
And
about
by 6 years old, I got good. I could say I was good. But everybody say a kid is good, but robot's the only thing I could do. I never really could dance like everybody else.
hmm
So
okay.
I could learned to imitate people dancing. Right now, I don't really know how to do the dance. I just see them and try to copy it, and I don't really know how to do the other dances.
Hmm.
Just
Okay.
make an imitation. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. And then what about animation? When did that term come about used in dance? When did
So nobody was calling animation back.
you?
So nobody in that day was calling animation. The main uh, things that were out as far as dance stages, because you got to remember that animation, even though people now put the base of robot in it, and you could say a robot is animated, you could do that. But every time you act like you got still or stop, they didn't call it dime stopping a lot. They know you was robot. So anybody who just your grandma could just go oop, 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 and that was already the robot. They never nobody say, oh, you animating. They didn't. That was never the coin phrase to use. After locking, which it was robot first, then locking always used an OG reference to the street. They always put a robot in their group, and the robot ended their group off so that they would never have an argument with whoever was doing street. So locking is a new school thing. All lockers, even if they're older than me, in my ear, were not really OG street dancers. They were the new people. The new people were making up something new, but it came after robot.
Hmm.
So the no lockers, I never talked to no lockers as if they was my elder or OG, even if they was older. It was only the few that like, I bow down right now, literally to Robot Slim the robot, and he was in the lockers, but he was a roboter. And I bow down to Dexter, who I thought was the best robot ever, and I bow down to John Boy. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't bow down to another robot if he was from Oakland. If I found out his thoroughbred, his history, I don't just know it. I only know these three people from LA. And I had to challenge these three people in my lifetime
Interesting.
when I was a kid. So I didn't just say I'm saying a name. I had to go and see them and battle them and take a respect or don't take a respect to give them that credit before I go to make my own name and reputation as a kid.
Okay.
So I'm giving you logistically who I bow down. They my OGs, blah blah blah. And I don't try to say much about them. I didn't get to study them. I just met them in confrontation.
Okay.
And I give them that sort of thing. And so nobody was caught in animation in that day. Uh, Popping came along, and a lot of people who were first poppers, regardless of who they say they claim to get it from, Oakland has a very good history of being some of the first roboters. But then again, other than being aged, you got to find the ones who say they was doing it before a certain time state on things. Because once Michael Jackson got on the stage with Dance Machine, almost everybody was doing a version of robot, including the stepping, because there were people that could say there was groups. But behind Dancing Machine, just like in Willy Wonka, the Oompa Loompas, there was a group, and that was Michael Jackson's brother, and they did a real marching, stepping routine like a robot bass.
Hmm.
So to me, that influenced a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not saying they made people want to dance, but if you were trying to that was a hit song for 2 years, Dancing Machine, on the top records, and it got played everywhere. And they had a visual video with it.
Hmm.
So I believe that everybody got influenced. Not that that was the only thing they did for robot, but they got influenced to do the dance era in Oakland. I don't believe they did solo robot. I believe they got picked up and acknowledged for making a team. And their teams to this day has the strongest influence on what other teams do, even though you see uh, like dance champions and the Jabberwocky type, there even people don't sometimes know the Jabberwocky is still Bay influence. They
Hmm.
got people, Zulu Gremlin, Click Clog, myself, and other people gave that recipe to those guys. So and everybody is doing a certain version of it when they make a team effort, like a drill team effort.
Right.
And I'm not saying they created it, but they actually got emphasis for it, doing it as a robot style. Their robot style, they didn't call it, uh, they got two terms. Some people say stepping, so you make a step, and then other people, but the stepping was used because people went to colleges. So all the groups that dance or stomp, they call themselves steppers. So that's a confusion on whether robot stepping and stepping is the same, but they use the term stepping at one point, and then they call it strutting. And a robot would have like you're gonna step into motion, and they did that.
Hmm.
So we can call it chain reaction, we call it dominoes, we can say any term we want to, but they had a reference of making the first group type of robot movement and in the robot movement era before locking,
Okay.
which is why they claim somebody took it, and, like the Boogaloo took it down because he was dancing more with it. When the Boogaloo style came to LA, I do not know when Boogaloo Sound came to LA, but he formed a group that emphasized from Long Beach all the way back up to LA and influenced all the people who look like, this is my words, puppet, electronic puppet, uh, scarecrow, and the Chinese robot were some of the basic moves that all these people could do. And most people who are contortionists, just like today, very flimsy, flexible, bone breakers, all wanted to get into what they call a street form of popping, of
Mm.
whatever it was, a puppet or boogaloo, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't never call those people animated. When a person did this, they didn't call a bone breaker animated. They didn't. When they tried a robot, they didn't say, "Oh, you animated." There was a word as poppy started to get on and known just before 1983. So we're going to tell you the date of that. 78, 79, 78, 79. Some people who could vibrate, which wasn't called animation either when you vibrated, but if you could move and animate. And I was one of the first people who were moving beyond the tick and sped the tick up and started moving. They had a word, they was calling it 3D. They was calling it strobe. And it stayed at 3D and strobe. Nobody was saying when you 3D and strobe that that's animation. Nobody was saying when you try to robot, you was animation. Nobody said when you was popping, you was animating. That was just a new corn that new people in the generation added to it, or they heard it from it and they just kept the umbrella. Everybody was called popping, whether they was waving or snaking or whatever. Everybody who could do these dances were called popping. That was the umbrella. And if you could lock and pop, you would be called a pop locker. So all poppers wasn't pop lockers. But people who could lock and pop were called pop lockers. You could pop or you could lock. What they were doing? They popping or locking. You don't know which one it was doing. And that was really simple. Real simple there. But nobody was saying, "Oh, you animated when you vibrated." Nobody was saying animate. So even when you try to act like you was vibrating and moving, which is what animation would be, close enough, the real action done, you would have this shake in this movement, and you're trying to vibrate. Move. Everybody vibrating just shook, stood still. And when you move, you was doing the Sinbad or doing the clips from the Sinbad. Now, this is real fact. The people in the Bay are old enough, just like me, or older than me sometimes, to have seen the same movies, Sinbad, Seven Voyages of Jason and the Argonaut, blah 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 blah,
Right.
and so on. But that does not mean that they were in the middle of a street dance, bringing it as bringing what you do that you can do at home into a street thing to battle somebody with that. I do not know if Robot Dane could ever move and vibrate. I don't know if John Boy can move and vibrate, but none of these people were doing them in that day. They stood still and vibrated as robots. That was the power move of a robot. Okay. Poppers move a lot, and some of them move, and sometimes they have a small groove and a hit on the beat, but there was no heavy hitting at that time. There was no, this thing we start calling bopping. And that was just a mispronunciation of somebody saying my name. Bop was not a move that everybody was doing at first. I tried the robot, and I tried the robot fast. And it made a mechanical shake that everybody go, "Oh, that's nice. Can you do it?" And I perfected that shake, and it had a hard hit. So I became famous as a robot first, and then as a great popper with a hard hit. Everybody liked the hit, and everybody could do versions of it. But when they learned the version of it, you could mechanically see that they was moving their legs, of which I follow Poppin' Pete. I give him the influence to be trying to move my legs too, which started what is called a Compton style hit. And then from the Compton style, Jack Poppers, who move their legs. There's some people who do this, like Stretch from Pomona. He's a Jack Popper. And most of the people that was in LA, like if you look at animation, he's a Compton Popper. They do drill teams. It's not really robotic. It's just you got the hit and you move. It doesn't matter what you do with it. Now, nobody even started using the word animation as a base for popping, not even when the movie Breaking came out, because the world saw both Taco in the movie and Boogaloo Shrimp in the movie, and they became the most famous people for the street dance. But sometimes they were mispronounced as breakers. When people saw the movie Breaking, they didn't differentiate and say what you're doing is called poppy to the world to get the definition. You had to be in the street to know what was different between what they was doing. But in that movie, they break dance, they lock, and they pop lock. So when they went to the two most famous peoples, again, it's Taco and Boogaloo Shrimp. I'm talking about worldwide now because the movie had great distribution. So they went to Japan, they went to Korea, they went to all these places. People say they go to trip for, including Russia, whatever. They went to those places and got known, and they were famous. I mean, famous, famous, rock star famous.
Hmm.
Only two people. Only two people.
Wow.
And the difference between those two people is they were both put as nemesis in the same movie. Of course, Boogaloo Shrimp seemed to beat out Taco, but Taco was in the movie, and there was some other dudes that was from New York was real good in that movie. The one who was like a wave guy, he
Right.
was really rubber band man. He really looked. He got his own style, and he looked really different. But Taco had a hit now, and he had this thing called Cobra, which was not just a regular wave, even though he could body trace wave. And though that made both of them get known. Now, the people who took Boogaloo, which after the fame came for these two guys, another group that first came down to LA took on the banner saying they created the poppin'. They would call it Electric Boogaloo. The Electric Boogaloo were first called the Electric Boogaloo Lockers. And later, when the movie Breaking came out, their name changed to Electric Boogaloo Poppers.
Hmm.
And they said, we're the ones who were popping. Boogaloo Sam is the one who created these moves that influenced these moves and started these moves. And as people went back to find out that Boogaloo Sam was a real character, only the Oakland people got mad at them claiming that. They go, we started from here. They came to Fresno. They took what we was doing. They took it like the strutting. But he don't look like them. That don't mean he didn't get the idea from them, but he didn't look like them.
Hmm.
And by the time these people who were foreigners heard these words, they took those words like, "Oh, you was in the movie. Oh, you started, but they was just a star. Oh, okay, we're gonna take that." And they built an empire for popping, but they called it Boogaloo at that time. So they were Electric Boogaloo, and people were going to Boogaloo, Boogaloo. They didn't say it was popping no more. And in fact, when poppers came against the Electric Boogaloos, who were claiming that they started it, they made a big differentiation. Well, you not boogalooing. You're not really popping. Popping means this. Don't wave, don't kick, don't robot. Popping means this. And then you had to do the old man and this move like this because this is boogaloo. So they put everything in their forum, and people was listening to the only people who was talking and getting money touring for that reason.
Hmm.
Mm.
Now, after people saw them and other people, they became famous, or the world was following it. And I don't care what part of the world, they had nothing to look at. They wasn't never saying nothing about animation, except for a few people in each one country who still remembered what Taco had did in the movie. And Taco didn't look like he was Boogaloo. Taco didn't. What Taco's name in the movie, Boogaloo Shrimp's name was Turbo, but when you called his regular name, he had a name Boogaloo in it. So he looked like, oh, I'm Boogaloo Shrimp. He didn't do no Boogaloo style, but he had a Boogaloo name. So everything he did, they said, well, he must be Boogaloo Shrimp. Look at him, and he's doing the Boogaloo like them. So they thought all of that belonged to Boogaloo.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
the confusion right there, just because of a name, misnomer of this number. Just like my name, Bopping Dre, was supposed to be Bopping Dre, and then somebody couldn't get it, and they called me Bopping Dre.
Hmm.
So that's a misnomer too. But everything that I did as a robot with a hit became my style. And the style that they started naming uh, animation came mostly from the world, from Taco, because he was doing a Cobra with some vibrating moves, of which that was influenced by me. I had a battle with him, told him what I did, showed him what I did. He went in practice by 85, 2 years after the movie came out. He was like one of the hardest hitters and dancers there was, bar none. I can tell you that in my
Hmm.
own brain. I don't care about who he met and danced with. I'm talking about he had the ability. He has clips out doing pieces of Cobra, pieces of booger, pieces of the. He had every little piece he wanted to have in it, and some action.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And word to the wise, Boogaloo Shrimp, he looked really good too, especially when he did a version of Android as a robot, Urkel from Family Matters.
Right.
His
Right.
his Android in a machine, he did mechanical pieces, not pop locking, until his second or third uh, episode in there. Then he was in the basement doing backslides and other ways, and they didn't look as well. It was off the skit, but his Android when he first came out, even before he had Bop and Ronnie show up as a girl version of him, was on. He was like super tight.
Mm.
I was very mad and jealous. Real true. So, with this being said, now there's another confusion, and even more so after I came back to the scene after 30 years away.
When did
30
you
years.
leave? You left the scene?
I left the scene of LA in 80 and 81. I went from there. The military was my escape from the streets. And I went to Korea. And from Korea, I went to China. I learned martial arts and became a bodyguard for a businessman who moved to Canada, Vancouver. So in that same whole end of the same year, I could go into the service and running back and forth to China as a bodyguard for this businessman named Bon Ing.
Mm-hmm.
I got settled with him in Vancouver, Canada. And that was 80 to 87.
Mm.
And now I'm in Vancouver with only a few trips back to LA. I didn't really come back here to do no dancing. I was talking about fighting like a martial artist at that time. I was trying to be a bouncer. And I was a bouncer even when I came back here. But I had also learned because that man was a club owner how to run events, clubs, nightclubs, young clubs, college clubs, you name it, ladies' night out, blah. And that's why I got my current ideal of doing things. But when I come here, it just I tell people who are not used to it, they only pick up what they like and they run with what they can. They don't run with the whole thing. But that's my forte in my brain. And it was just history. I came back. And when I came back, I had told people thousands of times that I had ran into the electric boogaloo lockers at my school at Fremont. I got pictured in the yearbook of the well from there here at Fremont and Locke to prove my history and where I was as a mascot that changed me from everybody. And they gave me credit different from most people. So everybody could get influenced seeing me at a baseball game when that football game would go every other week to another high school to play football. I didn't go to people's place and meet them and battle them the way other people had to go do it when they got in it. I was a school mascot, and the school had a sports game, basketball, band, and baseball to challenge other schools, including volleyball sometimes. And they usually pick me to go with the band or the drill team or do the halftime shows.
Mm.
And so I was going every week, one at home and every week away at another school. So you can name all the schools, Morningside, you can go all the way to in LA County to Long Beach and name Centennial, name Carson, Fauchet. It doesn't matter. You can name all the schools here. Our schools in the year season would play against them with one team or another.
Mm.
And that's how I got known. They see me at a thing. I'm the dude dancing, doing the backslide, doing popping, doing robot, doing whatever I could learn to do, including locking. Even though I wasn't a great locker or nothing, I just knew basically what locking was in my mind and was doing that. And then they go get the dancer at a school after that who come and try to find me.
Mm.
And then I'd see that person, they do them. I go, that's good. And I go, here's me. Blah, blah, blah. They go, how you do that? And then I'd influence them. I did not teach everyone I met. I just showed them something that they thought they wanted to learn. So I gave them influence and tightened up some stuff that they were already doing sometimes, but didn't have, let's say, my cheating experience of illusions, per se. They can already dance better than me. Almost everybody I met danced better than me. Like what you would now call house and hip hop and everything got separated. At one time, it was all the same too. So it was you just dance. You can look at any Soul Train evidence, any Soul Train episode, and everybody who ever moved was doing a locking move. So I tell people every day, if you see anybody who's moving, lockers didn't create not one move they made. They just incorporated.
Okay.
But the style that they did it made a difference. Learning to stop when you dance made a difference. I'm talking too long. You guys got to go on. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for ranting that way.
No. It's good. It's information. Again, it's part of the history, so it's great
I'm
for
trying
us.
to give you history so people can put their stuff together and put their years and say what they said. And some people make a conscious message and they say it wrongly that other people get emphasized as if that's the way it should have been. And it's just been explained wrong. You left people in the air instead of giving them the script information. Like when you say, as an example, when Don Cornelius interviewed the Lockers, even on the movies, and go back to it, even Robot Slim said he was a locker. He says, I'm Slim, I'm the robot, Slim Robot, and I'm a locker. And so you would get confused that robot would be called lockers, but people would not even understanding that everybody who locked was doing a piece of robot. To come to the stop was to robot. That's how locking it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when you do the move and you stop, whether you say you do this an old man, that's part robot.
Right.
But you can dance. And the robot, Slim Robot didn't use no dancing. He just robot, like Android robot, whatever. There you go.
When did you become associated with animation? Because to my knowledge, to my perspective, when people talk about animation in LA, your name comes up. That's like Andre, like you gotta people overseas talk about animation, Andre's name comes up. When did you notice or that animation became associated with you?
Animation became associated with me in 78. That's when I decided I would try to move and vibrate. Like not vibrate only, but move with vibration. And when I first try to tell people that, here's a real good quick story. Quick story. When I first try to show people, they go, "Oh man, you look like a strobe. Oh, you see somebody moving like a strobe." And sometimes they come back and say, "Man, you see people strobe?" And I go, "Dude, that was me. Like I'm the one in the nightclub. I'm trying to move with vibrations, dime stop, which is quick tick at that time. So it just looked like the lights were blinking in your eye, and it looked like I was moving like crinkly, and it splashed. And then I try to move more tight in the day when the light was on and no flashes. I would move tighter, and that became the moving vibration. It was to me, it was my answer to the vibrate, standing still. But now I can move, and when I go out, I can make that junkier and flimsier, and it looks like I'm flashing. Now, let me give you some honesty. When I was a kid, I was put in front of a movie, a TV show for kids. It was called Gumby. It's called claymation. It was the first claymation, Gumby and Pokey. I got my influence trying to move awkwardly like them, not like a robot. Just like a puppet, or you stay still and you click and move. So I had Gumby as my base. But when people was asking me, "What are you doing?" and how to do it, a movie that came to mind was Sinbad. And I told you, man, it's just like this. It's like the horse or Medusa, the snake.
Right.
And the word Sinbad now became to circulate in LA. Sinbadding. You can wave and you can vibrate when you do it.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. And it's like a creature or a cracking. And your hands is moving and shaking when you do. And then there was the skeletons who chopped your head off. It's moving vibration. So I said the word Sinbad, and everybody started looking for claymation with the movie reference. Now, I gave you a secret today that it really came from Gumby that was before the movie on a TV show for kids. But the movie reference was how you tell people to look at that and try to imitate that. So I told them that. And once I came, and that was like, I didn't even mention this. They was calling it Sinbad in the street, but nobody knew Sinbad, strobe, vibrating moves was all the same. 3D strobe, they didn't know they all came from the same base. They just said it was something different, but nobody knew what it was. Nobody could demonstrate it.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
They didn't know.
It's all the same. Stop motion, 3D, claymation. Okay, because that's also I noticed that people will say like, "Oh, I'm doing claymation," but what they're doing is the same thing, right? Of stop motion and Sinbadding.
Exactly, they're doing it, but there's a reason why somebody like my girl Keumsae is saying it. Because after the mix-up in Japan, because Japan was the first one starting to air this, they took the ideal of what a guy called Sheen was doing, who followed Taka, and his Sinbadding, his ideal of I can vibrate and move, got mixed up with Cobra. Of
Mm.
course, Cobra is not a boogaloo move. It is a move. It's not a regular wave, trace wave move either. It is a move that got influenced literally by me. And that's even before the people who was known for doing it. And I also gave them the name of their group called Mysterious Poppers. They was
Mm.
named something else. And they were already more flexible than I'll ever be. But I gave them a concept of turning their flexibility to look like a snake. And so
Wow.
that's why this Cobra, the Mongoose, all these names came up, being cobras and snakes and whatever. They could already beat me, but the concept was in my brain, and I tried to give it to them, and they took it and ran with it.
Okay.
All right, and then later, after the movie Breaking, I never had met Taco when they were dancing, when he was dancing with them, where he learned. But I met him afterwards and challenged him, and he showed me what he could do. Great. And I said, I showed the people who showed you. Now I'm gonna show you something different. And I gave him the difference between his animation or claymation to put with it, the strobe that goes with doing Cobra together. And
Mm.
he got better at it. And there you go. That's how that worked. And we were close. We were closer. I was closer to him than I was closer to all the guys in the Mysterious Poppers. I just met those guys after I beat a guy that they liked, a guy called Anthony King, King of Pop, who was
Mm.
everybody's hero in Linwood, Paramount, and Compton. And I beat him at a place, and then everybody wanted to meet me. Who beat him? Who beat him? And they came looking for me, and I showed them what I did, and they go, "Oh my God, I want to learn." And then I show what they show me what they do, and I show them how they can improve it. I didn't improve it, but I showed them what they could do, conceptualize, influence, and
Okay.
that's how they want to go do it.
Okay. And so if I'm hearing correctly, like you were watching the Gumby shows, the Sinbad, also inspired from strobe lights and the clubs.
I didn't never follow a strobe light in the clubs.
Okay.
I never, I never I never looked at a strobe light in the club and said, "Oh, I'm gonna try to imitate that."
Okay.
I'm not saying people didn't do it. I'm
Right.
saying I did not do that. I
Okay.
simply saw the guy Robot Dane and a couple of other robots vibrate, and
Vibrate.
they stood still and vibrate.
Stood still. Okay.
Every vibrator from a robot stood still and vibrate. And I had a reputation that was falsely given me as a vibrator. I couldn't do it, but I was so scared standing in front of a guy who could robot that my shakes looked like I was vibrating. I
Mm.
didn't move. I just froze. I was just chicken scared. That's one of my histories of becoming famous in the street because I beat the guy called John Boy just because I was scared and challenging. People caught that scaredness of me as if I was vibrating. It
Okay.
became a reputation. People like, "Oh, good man, vibrate like you did. I was there. I saw you." I could not vibrate. I was
Okay.
scared, right? But when I seen Robot Dane from the Electric Boogaloo Lockers, who challenged me, of course I was better than him in robotic. But he had a power move, and he made sense of it like a pantomime. He braced his hand up in the air, unscrewed his hand like this, and then he licked his hand and stuck it in there, and he vibrated. He
Okay.
not only vibrated, he had a story, and that
Okay.
reminded me of it was super great.
Okay. So
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 that's what I'm telling you.
okay, got it. And to your knowledge and your experience, you didn't see people moving and vibrating.
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
ever. In fact, it wasn't until this year. No, no. It wasn't until last year I saw a clip, uh, a real clip, and had to review it to make sure that what I was seeing, because I didn't even see that at that time. But the guy named Kearney,
Yes.
along with a guy who could hit, there's only two of them in the whole place that were very impressive on mechanical devices of the Gong Show.
Yes, the Black
So
Messengers.
the Black
Kearney Taylor.
Messengers, the
Yes.
real name Black Messengers, but on the movie they call themselves mechanical devices. They were
Right.
all white. And in that movie, 77, that was one of the three versions that they won. And that was the best episode they ever did. They did not even pop like that until they came to LA. So they were LA influenced to make that step. Like that's proof to you right now. They was already here, you had won before they got to that one. And if you go and look at all the other ones dealing on nine themes, they got the routines down, but they didn't have that same mechanical style.
So you're saying the mechanical devices, also known as the black messengers, were influenced from LA's
Style of dancing.
style
That's
of
correct.
dancing.
That's
Interesting.
correct.
Okay.
Not that they didn't have a routine. The routines, they beat LA hands down. But there was a group, like let's say, if you could speed up the John Boy, if you look at John Boy routine, who also moves with mechanical stuff, they move slow to beat for a reason. And mechanical devices, just like one of the other groups that I always name when I mention Frisco or Fresno or up in San Francisco, Close Encounter of the Funkiest Kind, they all learn to move to faster speeds, robot at a quicker speed.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves a different impression on you looking at a robot routine to a dancing or electric robot routine.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes how you move, your timing, the look of how it's perceived. Just like the perception of vibrating moving from a tick, it's a different style. It's the same technique, but once you speak, let's say if I'm doing this is 5 miles an hour in your car, accelerating.
Right.
And when I go 60 miles an hour, I'm doing this. It looks different.
Okay.
It looks different when you slow down or you speed up,
Okay.
even if you're doing the same thing.
Okay. Yes.
That's the easiest
Right.
way to say it.
Okay.
And people didn't know what it was. All the people like, wait, you seen strobing? You seen 3D? And everybody couldn't do it. So it gets mixed up.
Okay. Would you agree? Would you agree with the statement of people in Oakland were animating um bef and didn't have knowledge of LA dancers? Like,
So
mhm,
I happen to think that Oakland, which claims to be the first out of even San Francisco dancers, Oakland claims to be the originators.
mhm,
And I just told you that I believe, and this is not a fact. This is not a fact because I don't know all those guys and their personal history or age or when they started or who they watched before they got influenced. What I did not hear out of many people in Oakland is where they got their sources from. They just say we did it, and all we don't usually do things together. Usually with someone when you do things with someone, and that doesn't mean it came from you. It just means you was with them as they was doing it. As an example,
mhm,
uh, Animated J, I saw you do a squid with your hand one day.
mhm,
And I saw other people that all the time. I see different versions of it now.
mhm.
But I didn't know where you got it from or where your conception came from. But I've seen you with my eye would go, Animated J did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that truthfully, whether there was a fact or not, until you come and tell me, oh, I really got that from this guy, or I got that from this version, or wasn't the first, but I liked it and I started doing it.
Right.
So everything in the streets get moved by example first and perception from people watching you. That's
Mm-hmm.
not they taught you. It's you saw them and
Right.
you liked it and you went home and tried to do it.
Right.
And if somebody sees you, they get influenced by trying to do what you did.
Right.
This is called osmosis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when water gets over the racks and it soaks into a towel or the picker, the bounty to pick it up or the grader pick it up. Everybody picks up a little or whatever they saw somebody do.
Right.
They don't always get the right mechanics or it was hard or it was easy, but everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
Now in Oakland, which is what I try to do, that's why I talk so much. I try to put things in perspective. I try to put things to where they came from, like where I got it from, and then where I took it to.
Okay.
Many times when people see me, they take it and they go, I did it, I do it my way. Dude, you was trying to do it like me. You didn't get to me. There's a difference between somebody really taking something and going far.
Right.
As an example, there was only a few people doing cuts. And the main people who were doing cuts was me and some people out of Carson.
Mm.
We're talking the big tuts,
Right.
big arm tuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a few people,
Mm-hmm.
doing baby tut moves. Then other people see those and they do versions of it too.
Right.
To beat them, all the people who really like tuts started box tutting.
Mm-hmm.
They went from out here
Mm-hmm.
to I'm gonna be here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was simple stuff. They go from here to this long one, from here to here. It was simple. Pretty soon you can do these moves and they become different inside instead of way out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I even had some stupid fingers, but I wasn't calling myself a finger tutter.
Right.
And later when I saw the people who were more flexible than me, more digits oriented,
right,
they could do way more than I could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
They call themselves digit tutters, or they call themselves finger tutters.
Right, right.
And they went into, touch can come from. Okay, I'm just saying, they were focused. I could never keep up with them. And even if I tried to cut, which would be a small sample, I can't do it the way they have better digit control.
Okay.
Right. So when you meet a double jointed person who can make his arm tut and then twist it around his back and still tut, you just got to watch it and give it appreciation.
Right.
But his ability keeps a lot of people out of the same arena. His ability, his flexible ability.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So likewise, when people were popping, I told you they started puppet first. That was how loose you can get. And then from loose is how wavy you can get. So people got into losing their body and becoming very wavy. Some people could look, they don't name like Skywalker's name no more. They don't talk about Squid anymore.
Right.
They do talk about elsewhere sometimes because he reminds me of the New York one. He's the same from the same squad, but they don't mention. But Pomona's, because it made sense, and I guess one of the hardest pushers for Pomona was G-Style Slick Dog, because the other people in Pomona who are still good, they're not as aggressive. So Slick Dog brought Pomona style waving to the forefront. So now a lot of people want to be G-Style, want to wave like waters, but be straight. I can stay straight, wave down my body, go around. But that was already out way before then too. Kako did that as well.
Okay.
That's trace waving.
Trace wave. Okay.
You do Cobra, you see the wave down your body, your leg come back up. But again, styles look different, but they're the same.
Okay. Gotcha.
Person's ability takes them where they can go.
Okay. Would you say that? Well, actually, I'll just What was your no? Actually, okay. Would you say that? Okay, sure. People in Oakland, let's say, sure, somebody was vibrating and they were watching Sinbad and stuff, and that's great. Who knows? But would you say that you pushed it further than
just like I just said about cutting from old to box to finger digits, they pushed it.
So you
pushed
pushed
the envelope. And I pushed what was now called Sinbadding or animated Sinbad or claymation. I pushed that higher than everybody did.
Okay.
Now I can still go in front of people. Let's say Kearney. They got other names. I just say Kearney because his name was brought to the forefront because he came down here a couple of times. I give him respect for that too. He was also on the show and did some shit. He done it. And then other people can say, I watched the same movie and I used to do it. But when you sit in front of them and they do it, they're doing it. They're doing an aspect, but it ain't clarified. It ain't focused. It ain't clean all the time. Okay. So you see some people say, I'm old and I hit. You go, yeah, they hitting. But if you watch them, sometimes it's old shaky. And they got newer guys who got farther, more dedicated hits. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And I do that all the time. I need a dude who's in front of me, and if he hits really well, I try not to hit harder to make him get any better. I just water my shit down, let him pick his up at 100%, and I go, that's nice. And then I go home and say, do I still got that? And I go, oh, all right, I still got it. I ain't worried about it. Right. I'm just being truthful.
No. I love it. Okay.
I'm being truthful. So when you see people who hit, they hit good and you like it, and you get confused whether I'm hitting or they hitting differently or hard or the same, it doesn't really matter. They're trying to hit, usually like the way I started hitting, having a nice hit with it. That's influenced by me. All those hard hitters out in the world were influenced by me, trying to hit hard. Not that they can't hit harder than me. I've seen Poppin' Pete hit way harder than most people I've seen. But he can't use the hit and use a robot to make it controlled.
Right.
So if he measures, it's not that he can't do this, and not that people didn't know he can't get it either. Dude, if somebody that just started in the year 2000 or later can hit and animate, then the dudes like Oakland can also relearn it and learn how to bop or hit or animate just as good as anybody.
Okay.
If they get back into it, It ain't they did it in case they ever do it. It's just that they never did it until now.
Right.
So even Kearney started getting better later. You know, come back around, people see something, he go home and get like, oh, I'm gonna do this. He took I seen his shit. He took a real shake, and I'm like, yeah, he kind of hit. He took a real shake, but I know that's so jacked up. But later he got some, he got some hits that looked good. You see the hat move, and
Right.
he looked good. So he improved in the later years.
Okay. Okay.
And everybody can do that.
Right.
If you can learn to do it now, he can learn to do it. He had the time to go do it. And if he want to do it, he can do it. I don't think no robot strutter from Oakland can't keep up with people if they go and focus and do it.
Okay. Would you say, Andre, that when it came to LA, that you were the one pushing the style of pushing animation?
I pushed the style of robot and dance, which was like strutting from Oakland. We're very similar. That it's really similar. I just had a different robot base to mine. They had a robot base, but they was willing to move a different way. And I was trying to keep mine in line with a robot. So a drill team version robot became the base of what I did. And I pushed that everywhere I went. I didn't worry about boogaloo curves. I did a wave. And if I did a wave, I stood still for my robot and did a wave so you could see the robot. And then I went back to my robot.
And you making little increment movement too.
Well, I made increment movements because I was trying to show people who would follow my base moves and show them that I could be intricate, which I call glitches. So that's why you see everybody doing these double beat hits, small ones. So boom, boom, boom is great, but then I go ga 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 or forward. These glitch moves that are tricks that help with the animation that you're unreal.
Would you say it's interesting because you're coming up with these moves like glitches, these different rewinds?
I didn't call it glitches back in that day. That's just a new term to make people understand when we're communicating today. I never used the word glitch until 2003.
Okay.
When I was trying to teach AJ. And I told him it's like a mistake. It's a glitch, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't called glitching back in the day. Not that you couldn't do it. It wasn't called that.
It wasn't called that. Okay.
It wasn't using that as a frame for the reference to think about.
Okay.
There's only, for waves, they didn't have 1,000 waves. They didn't have a thing called rave wave and liquid wave. They didn't have all these new definitions for what you did. Back then, it was called a tidal wave, when you did your whole body. Okay. It was called an arm wave or disco daddy wave if you put your elbows and arms together. Right? It was called, if you just did your hands, it was called a Lulu, a Hawaiian. What's that dance called?
Right.
You did this.
Right.
And if you did the thing like a bird with an arm wave, you was doing modern dance.
Interesting. Okay.
Really, literally. We didn't have all these words to put them in the right category like we have now.
Right.
And the problem is when you disassociate things from what they was first done, you get confused as to when it came in until somebody can give you a timestamp. So you've talked to people like, let's say Midnight.
Yes.
Midnight is fairly young in the game and fairly young in honing his skill. He's pretty good to me now. He's getting much better, but his skill level was never very high. But he started as a statue. Don't move.
Right.
And he's famous for that. He's a statue man. Not that he can't pop or hit, but that's later in the game.
Okay.
And his years from doing that, well, I'm 62. There's a lot of people older than me, but they started after me.
Right.
Not when I started as a kid. Remember, I started as a robot. And when Poppin came along, I was already a robot champion.
Right.
And then when Poppin came along, and let's put the years right. From 68, Poppin didn't come until like 78 to most people in LA.
Okay.
From 68 when I started, 78 when Poppin hit the game.
You were roboting.
I was roboting. Already a robot champion.
Okay.
From 74 to 78, I had 4 years of being a champion, catching up with the old guys, keeping a reputation, and then being a school mascot in those years. So at 15, I came at 11. At 15, I was a robot champ from the streets of LA.
Got it. Okay.
Robot champ, not Popping champ.
Right, robot. Okay.
But when Popping came in and I tried to speed up my robot, that trying to keep up to the groove became like a dancing robot, and I can dance with it and I looked different than all the people who were popping.
Got it. Because they didn't have that background that you had. They
They
didn't
didn't
have
have that background.
the robot background. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Question. I've heard of the name Deuce being shared in LA. People talk of Deuce and
Yes.
connecting animation. What's your relationship with
Well,
Deuce?
there's two other people, so let me give things out as they belong. My first play brother in the street, his name is Dooney, Anthony Triplet.
Hmm.
He's big now. He was really small. He's a puppet popper. He actually popped before me.
Hmm.
Like, and when I came up with new things to do, I would share with him. We would first challenge, but then he said, "What?" And I go, "Do this, do that." So I took him as another guy named Larry, Ticking Larry. I took his ticking style and gave him as moves to Dooney. When
Hmm.
I came up with how to do Cobra, Dooney was the one who shared with me as being the first Sinbadders doing moving vibration in LA.
Who was this?
His name is Dooney, Triplet, Anthony
Hmm.
Triplet.
Trip. When was this? When did
This
you?
is this is we stayed on 78th and 77th Street, but the year was like 78, 79.
And he was. You said
We shared credit.
okay.
We shared credit like as if we did this together. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Somebody will come up with it, but you share it with somebody. Now you both can do it, but it
Okay.
looks different sometimes.
Yeah.
We shared credit for Sinbad animation brought to the streets of LA.
Okay.
A
Okay.
dude named Bop and Ronnie, who I used to think was Robot Prince's student, is my brother's triplet student.
Okay.
So everybody thought that he did Sinbad first. Like move your arm like the octopus, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Bop and Ronnie, who hung with Robot Prince, thought he was the greatest. And everybody, including me, thought Robot Prince was really good, no matter what. He got influenced by John Boy. He's the advance of John Boy and the Robot Brothers. They Pantomime Robot.
Okay, John Boy and John Boy's from LA or based in LA.
Well, I know him from LA, but that don't mean he come from LA.
Okay, okay. He might have been somewhere else. Okay.
I don't know where he come from doing it, but he got to LA and got famous.
He's in LA. Okay. God.
Right?
Robot Prince.
And he does pantomime, all the stories, cigars in the mouth.
Yes, yeah.
And then when Robot got it, he liked the story. Robot got his number, they talked to him. Robot got to make a box and said, I'm gonna do some pop locking with it. So the advance of him is adding some pop locking, which you would now call animation, to the robot, but still tell stories. You don't need to move. He could stay still and smoke a cigar, eat an apple. He's miming. He's a modern mechanical mime.
Okay.
But he ain't really mechanical. But he tells a story and he used the robot idea, right?
Okay.
So you ain't gonna catch him doing old robot styles. That's not how it is. You're gonna catch him telling a story though, like a mime, and it's gonna look good.
Okay.
You're gonna go, oh, that's tight.
Right.
And he's been in the game just as long as me. In fact, 1 year after I came to LA, 74, he started doing his in 75.
Got it. Okay.
So if I wanted to claim when we was doing it, I could tell you, Robot got good and started 75. I was here already doing Robot Prince.
Robot Prince. Okay. Got it.
But the other dudes were there before, or they were here when I got here. They were here when I came already, Robot Masters. Whether they challenge each other or not, I don't know. They don't like Slim don't like John Boy. I know that.
Interesting. Okay.
Because he was good, he got famous, and he go, hey, he took some of my shit. He believed he was here and he was a real LA man. And whoever Slim, when John Boy came, he said he got some of my shit and he took it and ran with it. That everybody who feel like they was first feel like somebody took their stuff.
Right.
When I first seen the mechanical devices on TV, when I first heard about the mechanical devices, somebody showed a clip of them in white hair.
Yes.
And I said, they took my stuff. That's how I felt.
Uh-huh.
And I had been to in 79, 80 before I left. I've been to Frisco. So I felt like, they saw me in action. They made a group. They changed.
Mm-hmm.
I met the Close Encounters who didn't keep up with me at that time, but I loved that group with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? So I'm saying this is true. This is a back and forth thing that everybody get against somebody else who started. Whenever you see somebody start, you give them their credit, but you don't know where they got it from. And they got to tell you that.
Right.
That once they tell you, you'll be able to put things in perspective, but it's hard because people meet at different times.
Right. So Deuce, what was your relationship with
Now, Deuce is my play brother, my second play brother. So I went to him in order. My first play brother was Triplet. My second play brother is Deuce.
Deuce, second big brother.
Well, he was bigger than me, but he wasn't older than me. I was just
Sorry, you were saying your second what brother?
my second
Play
street brother,
brother.
play brother,
Yeah,
Got it.
play brother.
the street brother, like a brother, somebody who treats you kind on the street, and you feel like you owe them because they treated you
Like
well.
best friend, like close
Okay,
friend.
okay, yeah. No.
Okay, no. Look, let me say this different. Let me say this different.
Buddy.
No. That's not it. I don't want you guys to get the misrepresentation of street mentality back in LA when I grew up. In LA, there were people you knew who knew you. There were people who knew where you lived and knew your mama, whatever, but that did not make them your friends. You just simply knew each other. I know a lot of people in LA who I got their name and know where they stayed at. They were not people I associated with all the time. Mm-hmm. That includes whether they were gangbangers or whatever. It didn't matter. But there were people who you did befriend. They was nice to you. They didn't fight you, or they tried to be a friend. And when you meet somebody like that, for me, because I was a runaway, I made people my family. So if you actually took me to your house and your mother treated me well and said, make yourself at home, I'd be like, I'm gonna call you mom. We don't look alike, but in my mind, she's my mother now.
Right.
I make her adopt me because she treated me well. And I would not let nothing happen to you or my mama, and on my mama, I would not allow nothing to happen to you.
Right.
Now, the funny part is, while I was claiming a lot of mothers, I disenfranchised my own mama who I ran away from. You know, I didn't watch my own mama's house. I didn't care who she was meeting, whatever. But if I went to your house, like I went to Dooney's house, his mother fed me sometimes. She let me sleep on the couch sometimes. They became my new adopted family. I was a new member of their family. I was really a new pet. I was a new dog, like a watchdog. If they went out, somebody gonna fight, somebody had to fight me.
Right.
So Deuce became my second brother. His father treated me well. He treated me well. They were my new family. Now he has family that I don't even know nothing about. He has friends I don't know nothing about. I only know about him. Mm-hmm. And we had such a bond that even in the streets when he danced, he mentioned me. He just didn't mention a lot because he knew I was a paranoid cat when I was young. Like I was paranoid. I didn't trust everybody. So if he goes into a story, he knew I didn't like people knowing what I did, how I do it, whatever. I was only way I stayed myself protected is I was mystery to the people in the street. So now I talk a lot. I didn't talk back in those days. If I met you, I go, hey, what's up? And you go, man, where you going? I would never tell you where I was going. You say, hey, come over my house. I would never come over your house. And to this day, I still don't answer. I mean, I still don't call people on my phone. Nobody in my work, my old mama, only person who could say I call them is Keumsae, because I'm with her. So when people try to get in touch with me, like AJ had my number, but since Keumsae, I've been staying with her, she's the one who people contact to get in touch with me. I don't call AJ. I barely call Keumsae. She texts me, I put an emoji, thumbs up, everything okay.
Right. Keep
it don't do that. Yeah, keep it very simple. What you doing? I'll tell you when you get home. See you when you get home. We'll talk when I get home. I'm still that character. But when I go out, like I'm talking to you now, I talk a lot because I don't talk to everybody all the time. And I deliver the same story. I don't change my stories, but you can bring some new information if you feel you want to. Right. But if I hear you start a lie, like I said something, you took it wrong, I'll correct you. I go, no, man, I told you this. I don't know how you took it, but I told you this, and you went there. That's different.
So what was the relationship?
And Deuce was a one-arm popper. Okay. Let's get on Deuce so you can stay on. I'll be on your topic, like you said. Deuce was my play brother first. He came to me after I turned out one of his heroes, which is called Chicken Dave, who moved from Morningside into LA. Chicken Dave was the student of a guy called Chicken Larry. Chicken Larry's a one-armed puppet, one-armed bandit. And when I turned him out, his brothers and them turned their name to the Bionic Boogaloos or Bionic Boppers or something too, because bopping, the thing that I left, was so different that people started trying to emulate it, whether they could do it or not. And Deuce then asked me, had he learned what I was doing? Because he saw me take out some people, including his the one he looked up to. And I said, sure. And I asked him to pop for me first. He showed me what he did. And, okay, I see what you're doing, but that's not what I'm doing. I actually tied his arm to his body. Like, stop popping with your arm. Like, let's take that away. And first pop with your legs and then take the legs away if you can. So I gave him training, like military training, to become as close to bopping as possible without taking away the moves he did. So I didn't tell him, dance like me, do what you do, just add this to what you do. And he did it. And I was the one who helped him with what's called a traceway, adding characters. So him and animations could look a lot alike because they could change their body to a dinosaur and a character, blah, 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 blah. Deuce also was on a couple of videos, including breaking. He was on there doing the trace waves, kind of buff guy doing trace waves down his body. He was also influencing people. So yeah, he was a gangbanger, my brother, until he got around me, and I kept him out of the streets as best as possible. I fought for him many times, and the thing is he got, when I left, he fell into the influence of, not only was I one of the baddest persons, but one of the second baddest person that was similar to me. He went to Jefferson. At Jefferson, he turned out everybody every day for a week, except for a guy called Robot Prince. So he called me to go get Robot Prince. So I came out of lock. His father enrolled me in Jefferson. I'm a mascot for Lock at the time, and he enrolled me in Jefferson, and I went to Jefferson to dance, and I danced up against 2 or 3 of their guys, but nobody was really on that level, but they just to show them who I was, and they took me back there to meet Robot Prince in the backyard, and I met him, and he was good. He's the same way he is now. He was like that then. But I was doing way more stuff even at that time. So we met, and then later on, Robot, if you guys ever watch Soul Train, you'll see Robot in Bushcutter. At that time, he was trying to be a popper. When he was doing those moves, he was doing me.
Robot Prince?
Yeah.
He was doing you. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't pop. He's not a popper. Even today, he stays still. He's a Panama. Look, if you take a person, put him in front of you, and they do the wall, open the door, fly a kite, smoke, he's a pantominer. Yeah. He stays still in robot pantomime. He's statue pantomime. He didn't move. He didn't have how to move.
Right.
So when you see him try to do a movement, he stepped to the side, he stepped to the left, and he gives his credit to 2 people though. He first only gave it to Boo because I'm the nemesis of him. He thought I was messing with his girlfriend.
Nemesis of Boo. Boo was your nemesis?
Boo. Boo was not my nemesis. Boo was his nemesis.
Oh, interesting.
He gives his credit to Boo. Boo. Sometimes Boo say Boo the bot.
Right, from
and sometimes
Oakland.
He says Boo the bot.
Okay.
But that's Robot Prince is one of them. He said, I seen this dude step forward and go boom, and he shook. And it looked like a puppet shaking. It looked unreal. And that's why he wants to have a nice hit.
But you didn't. He's looking at Boo, but you're not looking at Boo.
I never looked at Boo.
Never looked at
Boo. Boo's weak.
Interesting.
But he was good at being choreography at that time. He brought choreography from up north down to LA. And everybody, including Royal Flush and them, all look at Boo because he moved, but also he made group routines that nobody in LA had. And by the time they took their routine, like if you ever go find out Royal Flush, or you go the Confederates, or some other teams that want to make this up a group routine, I did Cosmic Space Poppers, who challenged all these other people because I said, this is where it come from. And I gave them something else to do. So I made the Nemesis team for LA by influence only. But I also made my own Nemesis team. This is my brother, my first brother, Triplet, my second brother, Deuce. And while I was a mascot for Fremont, I came up with the name Bopatron. So Bopatron, LA Bopatron, was a group that never fulfilled its, I never materialized the group. I wanted Robot Prince, I wanted Tangerine. I didn't even care if my brother Dooney was in it or not, but he was still my play brother. I didn't care if Deuce was in it or not, but he was still my play brother. I was looking for me, Bop and Ronnie, Robot Prince, and Tangerine. That was, to me, the ultimate group.
Wow, like the Avengers of LA.
Yes. And that was like, if I get this group together, we'd be bad. And what I didn't have, the Robot Prince said, he said he had this guy who was the captain of Close Encounters, which the friend of mine named Lanny was once a member of that. That's his cousin named Mark Elliott in Frisco, who had the #1 group in Frisco, Over the Demons in the Mind is Close Encounters.
Hmm.
It was the last group to win all the battles.
Wow.
All right. And so I wanted that dance captain to be in our team. It happened to be a guy named Boo who made a fake group to represent Close Encounters. And he called his group Close Encounters down here in LA, which not the Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind from San Francisco. So Boo was sort of curbing the name of other groups. He had a demons group, not Demons of the Mind, but a demons group. And he would do what Demons of the Mind would do.
Okay, so he was like making these copy kinds of
He was making copies of the originals.
Interesting.
And I do not know where he got Fantastic Four for, but Boo looked like the theme from Fantastic Four. So that group could have literally been his. I wouldn't know. I don't know that history until he tells you that. But the movements that he had was something that LA did not understand at that time. We were individual dancers. When we dance in a group, it's sort of like everybody who's in this meeting, we get together, we like each other, we say, hey, we the group, and now we the Zoom group. Right. We don't got no routines.
Right.
One or two might have done something together, so only those two could go out and do something, which is how the Blue City Strutters, you guys call them the Booyah Tribe now. There was a Heckle and Jekyll, which was a real, I don't know if they were real twins either, but they danced alike with each other before Heckle and Jekyll. They were called Heckle and Jekyll, the original. Now they stood before you, they could do a group routine. It was Blue City Strutters. But only two went out and did a routine to turn you out if you broke down to two. They had they could dance individually and do a trip or like a two-man routine. Everybody else just solo dance. So if I had Deuce stand with me, we never had a routine. I had me and Triplet, he had to learn a routine because we had to do a halftime show. So we learned a baby stand in line, follow up domino routine, which if you've ever seen Mark Vincent and his crew called the Dominoes that got into the movie, that Dominoes with the little Coco and all them dancing, that was based on our dance routine, the Bopper Tribe. They literally a copy of our routine.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And that's why I still have respect for them. They have respect for me. Hey, man, we saw you. We did this. And I was like, yeah, and they represented that routine when they went out. They represented a good routine that, to me, could beat out most of the people in LA with that routine.
Right.
And that was the Dominoes. Our team was the originator of that.
Okay.
But I'm still influenced by the people from the Bay. I got influenced by Close Encounters.
You said you were influenced by Close Encounters.
When I went up there in 79, I was trying to make a group, as I told you, LA Bopping Crew. But I wanted to have the best, dance routine choreographer. And that made me go meet Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind, Mark Elliott. Right. When I got there, though, his group wasn't working anymore, but he had films, tapes, and costumes. He impressed me a lot. I impressed him a lot. In fact, I impressed him so much, he brought his whole team to come watch me. I danced. I said, let's battle. But when I danced, nobody wanted to dance. Man, we moved on. We don't do none of that shit. And they took me to all the clubs. Palladium, they stayed open. The first time I've ever been to a club, underage, not grown, and it stayed open till like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was called a Palladium in Frisco.
Wow.
And that was the first time I ever seen the club stay open all night long. And when I came back here, everything was shut down, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Right.
So it influenced things. They also showed me Fisherman Wharf. I made money at Fisherman Wharf. And when I came out here, nobody was working on the beach. I started busking on the beach of Venice Beach. First one. That's why people started going to the beach at Venice Beach.
Interesting.
Because I was down there dancing and making money.
Okay.
That's why you knew to go there.
Okay.
I learned that from Frisco, like San Francisco, the Bay, which is the people who influenced me to do that.
Got you. Okay.
Put a hat, bring a stereo. Later on, bring some other equipment. That was they the one who gave me the busking game to make money.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Wow. I'm gonna Keumsae, I know I want to ask you a question as well.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
No apologies. No apologies at all, because all this information is what we want to hear. We want to know. So all the details. So no apologies at all.
Yeah.
Keumsae, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about this robot and animation? What from when you first started in Korea? to now, what has shifted for you, or what of the style of your understanding of it? Like, what do you feel has been like, oh wow, like a new, I don't know if that makes sense what I'm asking.
Like how thinking about robot and animation now.
Yeah, from when you first started to now, what has changed? What has
I thinking that the still on the way. Uh, but can I ask you something,
hmm
if you don't mind?
hmm
What most thing people getting very confusing about animation right now? Or I think we have knowledge for robot right now, but
hmm
what's the main thing people getting really confused about this animation?
You're
The,
asking me
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
What
and
is
also
people thinking?
yeah, and Colin as well, I think if you want to share your thoughts, I know
yeah.
Colin has been in the group as well talking about it. From my perspective, what I would say is this. When, it's interesting. Okay. I feel it all started when Flat Top was a judge for an animation event. Flat Top
Mm,
was a judge for the animation event, and he selected his top 16. When that happened, Fiction, which everyone knows,
I
Fiction's
love that part. That was just not recently. No, it's
mm,
recent.
people are popular. Fiction, very viral, very known dancer. He asked Flat Top to explain to me what is animation and to
mhm,
tell me why didn't I make it past prelims. I
mhm,
don't think Flat Top and Fiction had a conversation of understanding, and
They did.
due to that, made a whole confusion where J Rock got involved, and he was gonna show Fiction, try to like, kind of like put him in his place in a sense. Um,
mhm,
and
Cool.
then then that was the first thing that happened. And then I think after that, when there was like animation events like with Unimate, I think like the first time, um, again, people were getting into prelims that were doing crumping. Some people were doing more like flexing. You started to see multiple styles. Some people were doing like kind of contemporary, being a little
mhm,
odd. Even myself, which with all these conversations, I wouldn't consider myself an animator. When I look back at what I'm doing, I wouldn't say,
mhm,
okay, I understand. Like, I wouldn't say what I was doing with animation. So even me, I was getting, into past
mhm,
stuff. So I think what happened was people were watching this and they're like, wait a second, what is this animation? Because it looks like everyone is getting in. Nobody can tell the difference. People doing the same thing in robot category, same thing in animation category. So there was this confusion. There was a
I'm sorry, but that's really true. Like
it,
I totally understand.
right.
You
So
know,
that was happening, and then in other events in Europe, because Animation Week in Paris, they had an animation event, and you would see again certain dancers doing tutting on the floor, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
you go to Russia. Russia has Back to the Future. You see people doing miming for the
yeah.
animation event. So
Yeah.
I think, and then Clocks starts. He was asking questions. I interviewed him. And he's asking, what is this? What is this style? What is the foundations of it? Because he was seeing the concern that anyone could say, I'm an animator. I'm an animator.
Mm.
They can,
That's so like
people, if someone's looking for a gig, if there's a music video, a work that they're like, okay, we're looking for an animator, there's like no clear picture of what actually is an animator. Uh,
Okay.
mhm,
so that was so I think these questions started coming up, and that's when the concern and more of the questions of, okay, what's going on here. Um,
mm.
so back to what you're
That's the main reason why you're trying to like interview with a lot of different people,
so
and you
the
wanted to hear from that their opinion, right?
so the
Because you
idea
have a lot of
Yeah,
confused.
the idea was
Yeah.
interview the people that were on the forefronts of this, the people that a lot of people either
Mhm,
respected or they
mhm,
saw as they pushed animation. So
mhm.
we know the Bay Area had stuff going on there. We know that
Yeah.
they were watching films as well. We know Andre is a person that was pushing animation in LA.
Mhm,
We know Dragon House viral,
mhm,
push it on a scale for the
Global. Yeah,
world,
longer, bigger. Internet, social
internet,
networking. Yeah.
internet. So what the idea is, let's talk to these people and let's see
mhm,
how did what what did they see? How did they see this dance, this animation dance? How did they explain it? What were they thinking? Because again, I understand everyone has different views of it, but if we can see a picture of these different generations and these
Mm-hmm.
people, maybe we can look at this map and we're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like I get it. Like the Bay Area, they're not going to explain it exactly how LA or Andre's going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Andre's not going to say it how Dragon House is going to say it. But if we have a picture, is
I would say about the same. You're gonna find out it's about the same.
same.
I gave it to a guy called Chad.
Mm-hmm,
I gave my style and the Android version to Chad, Mad the Robot.
mm-hmm,
I told him stop trying to pop lock and stop trying to do the other stuff. But he still wanted to hit like a bopper. And Chad became pretty much famous, and his best friend uh, at that time, I can't remember his name. He moved to Texas. Who's Chad's friend? Uh,
Ace.
Ace. There you go.
ah, Ace Ventura.
So I gave it to Chad. Ace was around when I was giving it to Chad, and Ace decided he'd listen to what I did. And he started doing the pantomime versions because I gave him some ideas. And then those two went from Texas to Atlanta, and they impressed the people dancing there. Those at first they were puppets and wavers, and they learned different movements really good. And then they learned how to get more android. So we already had our meeting of the minds there, and I changed the game for most of them, including Blueprint and Android. They came out. Boardman brought them out, and we went to a club, and I showed them the difference between how they was working and what they could do with it. And they did what they were doing. You're gonna find out what I'm saying is true.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
well, who they look at after that, because I don't do everything that everybody do. I don't really never mind, but I'm letting you know. I get what you're saying. I want to make two comments without going very far.
Mm-hmm.
The first real time that this was a mix-up, even when the word animation started to be used instead of the word poppy, was in Japan.
Mm.
They took the Boogaloo version because I went there a couple of times and they was very impressed by me, and I didn't have the same history from the Boogaloos, Boogaloo poppers. So they made a whole TV show, and you can pull up Japan, and they had a TV show, Boogaloo versus animation.
Right, I
They didn't
saw
call it
that
pop.
video. Yep, yep.
And these people were just doing pieces of either what they thought regular popping would be without the Boogaloo curves, and they put all popping under the umbrella of animation, not just what animation specifically is supposed to be,
Right.
but everything that they could do, like from Sheen's Cobra with some vibrate, and some of the stuff they saw me do, they figured out what Boogaloo, so that would be animation. That was the first ticketed ideal. They wasn't bopping. It wasn't Boogaloo versus bopping. It wasn't Boogaloo versus strutting. It was whatever wasn't Boogaloo. They separated the two.
Right.
And from that, more people started picking that up. A guy called Fish was traveling to most Asian towns, and he was
Yeah.
trying to bring bopping and animation, the word to them, and he was changing it. And he got into fights with the Boogaloos on the same trips.
Mm.
So there was a big separation between people who could regular dance, like pop lock, bopping, Compton popping, and the Boogaloos.
Mm. Okay.
And those were the two big classes. Now, the one that you mentioned, which I'm very familiar with, and I can tell you because it's by osmosis that I'm familiar with. Number one, I love fiction. Fiction can animate.
Mm.
He was told he couldn't animate by Flat Top, which was wrong.
Mm.
Flat Top animates, but only sometimes.
Interesting. Okay.
Flat Top is not an animator. Flat Top can animate. And Flat Top's whole movement is strictly musicality, music based. So if you ever want to see Flat Top ever vibrate and move, the music has to be on a quick drum roll.
Right. I've seen the performances. Right.
When it goes like that, he'll go, he'll stay still and vibrate, or he'll move with it.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be on the time. So if the music went clack, 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 listen, if he go clack, 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 clack,
Right.
he's only going to move on the clacks.
Right.
That's his whole base. He's a ticker to the music.
Mm.
So watch. Clack, 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 clack.
Mm-hmm.
He don't move. If the music ain't clacking or some sound ain't making him sound, but he can move to, he ain't gonna do it. So you'll never catch him doing You'll never catch him doing a strobe without the music going quick enough to let him strobe.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm just saying you just don't understand the mechanics behind what the person is doing, so you get mixed up.
Right. Right. Because I'll be honest, when I would see Flat Top, I'm like, oh, he's animating. Like everything he's doing is like when he's when he's doing the slow motion, when he's it
Yeah,
was
watch. Yeah,
uh-huh.
they're the same things that I brought to the game to help influence him on.
Okay. What's your relation to Flat Top and your dance? Is there
I
it,
met Black Top when I came back trying to be a promoter. I was only doing club promotion, as I said. I was a club promoter. I went to Red Onion. I put Red Onion on a map in LA doing nightclubs, and some girl named Jennifer, a guy named Lamont who's a comedian. They started to say, let's do a dance competition or a talent competition. They didn't have dance competitions back then. They had talent. So you could lip sync, you could sing, you could dance. And Flat Top showed up one day with his flat top. It wasn't the way they look now, but it was still a flat top, looked like cameo type thing. But he did his ticking to the musicality of a rock and roll song. And he could tick. And he was there. Flat Top has, like the other poppers in the old days, Flat Top had nimble. We called it being, we didn't call it flexible, we called it being nimble. So Flat Top was very nimble then. So you could put it, you know how when people do the limbo, they put a stick across so you could go under it. How low can you go?
right.
Flat Top could already do that. He still does that. That's how he goes down and put his chest up. He'd go down. But the thing about Flat Top's limbo, he didn't just drop down slowly like hydraulics. He only clipped down like tick version. Clip, clip, clip. Now I tell people all the time that ticking, animation, Sinbad, all these are the same technique. It's just different rhythms of speed, different timing. Mm-hmm. So when Flat Top ticks, what you say you saw him animate all the time, including his face, that is a version of animation.
Okay.
But it's the base version. It's like the stick drawing version. Everybody who's ticking is doing stick drawing.
Okay.
You know, like when you draw
right.
one motion, you take the next page, you draw the second where you want to be.
Right.
You take the next one, and when you look at it, it's tick, 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 tick.
Right.
Whenever it goes real fast, like a flip book, now you can see it go boom, boom, and there's some little glitches in it.
Yes.
That will be real animation.
Okay. I feel
what you why they call it claymation.
What you just said, once it's sped up, it's real animation.
Yes.
Okay. So I think this is going to answer a lot of questions. Yes. Would you say that true animation?
Say it.
Would you say? Talking.
Oh, so what? Sorry, so Keumsae.
Keumsae wanted to say something. She had an arm up as a question.
Yes,
go ahead.
You had a
no, I know, but this is it one part. But you know what? Like as a student, I'm learning too, right? For animation right now. I think if we have to switching the word, it's not like what is animation. We have to looking for what type of animation we're looking for.
What type of animation?
What she's saying?
It's not like we're waiting for somebody to answer to what is animation. They decided.
No,
we have to ask. No. We have to asking for what type of animation we're looking for, because it's really weird. Because you just what is animation? Maybe the word mean animation can be everything, but that's not what we're looking for, right?
Hello. I want to say this. She's really good when she says no. I'm on the same point as Keumsae. She knows what she wanted to say animation is, but since the word is so out and it's so it's a cover word. Remember I told you they mixed the word animation to mean anything popping, so that if you want to wave, that could be animation. The truth is the word animation means to move lifelike. That's the true word definition. Go to any definition, to move like light.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're getting confused. So meaning there can be anything. Even I'm just here and I'm hands up. This can be animation also, right? But what this dance word is, what we're looking for is almost like 80-90%. That's not what they're looking for. That's the reason why I have a lot of confused. They're seeing some animation battle. Oh, that is animation, because that's not what we're thinking. That's the animation. You know, I think that's 90%. Like people thinking in cremation is animation. Look,
claymation. The closest reference to using claymation, which claymation is animated even in the film world. It's taking a piece of clay and doing stop motion photography and then speeding it up so it looks real
Yeah, so
life.
that's what I'm saying. So what part of animation? Because we just look, okay, technically wise means if anybody stop or change the speed or whatever, there can be animation. You know what I mean? So turning, waving, everything stop can be animation. That's the animation. But that's not what we're looking for right now. For this animation robot, that's not what we're looking for. So we have to decide what we're looking for, what type of animation we're looking for. You know?
Yes. I understand this confusion. I understand the direction that you're using the
That's the
perspective.
reason why. Like always, we go in some competition and see some animation battle, whatever. They're thinking this is almost like a freestyle,
All right.
like so. But that actually, maybe you really mean to it. Animation means it can be anything is animation now. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
you
Like
repeated that. Hold on, you repeated that. But watch this. Watch what I'm gonna say
even
to
I'm
you.
moving this and stop. I'm using
Yes,
animation right now. You know, like
I am the first person who told everybody that everybody who moves as a living person is already animated. Whether you're mad, you're not mad, and you move. Everything that moves is animated. A tree blowing in the wind is animated in real life. But that's not in our dance forum.
that's what I'm
If you
saying.
walk into a dance routine as a normal person, took out a cigarette and smoked and walk around the thing and then walk off the stage, you were animated in real life, but you was not dance animated. You wasn't animated for, that's what she's saying, the focus for the dancers. What do we call animation?
Right.
If she walked in that same thing and decided to go slow motion, we now accept slow motion to be animated. But in the old days, slow motion was not called animation.
Right. Right.
Okay. So in the old days, you vibrated. You just vibrated, but you didn't move other than the vibration. They didn't call that animation in the old days.
It was the moving forward. That was when
There you go. That's when it became animated. Wait a minute. Number two, if you did a robot and you stood still, we call it the mannequin or statue. You did look like a statue and you look like a mannequin, but they didn't say you were animated.
Not yet. No, it wasn't. Right.
There was no motion.
Right.
So even when you come back and go, hey man, I'm a statue, you don't go, oh, he animating over there because he's statue. You don't say, oh, he animating a statue. A statue don't move. So there's no classification over you.
Right.
Now, what if you act like you was a complete wave? Like, let's take the guy from New York, the rubber band man guy.
Right. He
waves all the time.
Yeah.
He moves on his knees. You never look at him and say, oh man, he animated.
No.
You go, oh, he wavy or he noodly or whatever you would claim, it would be close to what you thought that was.
Right.
Now today you could say, oh, he was moving so much, he was very animated. But even when you look at the old schools, nobody looked at him and said he was animated. Nobody.
Okay.
When you see a good waver, Skywalker, elsewhere, you know he's being a rubber band or very loose. You don't say, oh, he's octopus, he being squiddy, whatever is liquidy. You don't say, oh, liquid is animation. No. It wasn't until the Cobra, which wasn't called animated either, until they started adding vibration.
That's what I'm saying. Depend on, even though you move around, but how you animate it is
I'm making a difference. If you do the Cobra, if you do the old man, which they say the Cobra got an old man routine with his chest, and you didn't vibrate, it wasn't called animation. If you could do it and vibrate it, they go, oh, he vibrated that or he was in motion. Now they can call that strobe or animation or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
That's how easy this is.
Okay. I think that clears up a lot. So my understanding then is the vibration moving.
Or the look or effect of vibration, because that would make strobe. It could be vibration movement. It could be a strobe or tick fasting.
Okay.
Now, what about when people do basic arm moves? Like, to the front, to the side, almost like in tech, but you're doing slow motion or 4-count beat. This is not animated.
No.
Not saying that you're not, but if I want to talk about dancing and I go boom, 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 I'm only moving on this count.
Right.
And I'm moving different parts of my body, they don't call it ticking.
Okay.
But if I move one hand and I go down to go front, boom, boom, one hand in motion linear, they call it ticking.
Okay.
If I go from here to here on a beat, boom, boom, they don't say I'm animating.
No.
They go, oh, he's doing a move. He making these boxes. I could do it all day long. They're not gonna say I'm ticking or I'm animating. But let me do that with one arm. Let me move my hand in these motions. Even if I went from boom, if I do this and I don't break it down between, it's not even called ticking. Even if I'm moving the same beat. But the same beat, and I go here, 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 they call that ticking.
Ticking, okay.
If I go faster, double time, quicker, even faster. Now they go, oh, it's crazy. He's strobing. He's
animating.
3D.
He's animating.
He's animating. See? So simple.
Okay. Okay.
If you turn your head from left to right, I don't care if it's not robotic. That's not ticking and not animated. If I tick it, I'm supposed to go somewhere between it. I tick it. If I go quicker like this, then animate. It's simple.
Okay.
Same motion, looks different.
But if you focus on technique wise about the animation, they're gonna think in dime stop, speed control.
Dime stop.
But I told you we talk about this. Baby, let me talking.
I hear you. I'm not saying in your ear I get echoes. We're close. Okay, but I heard that. But you say the word dime stop, which also throws people off. Ticking and dime stop are the same thing.
No, I'm saying maybe people just focus on technique wise animation. They're gonna say speed change, timing change, control. That could be animation, right? So any dance, you just stop over there and change the speed. That can be animation.
No. Yes,
that's not what we're looking for.
Keumsae.
So that's why like people getting confused about that. You know what I mean? Like animation. So like to me is we have to decide what type of animation we're looking for. Like technique wise, that means anything can be animation. But I don't think that's the what we're looking for. A lot of animation that's not what we're
I get what you're saying.
You know,
so slow motion, another thing.
Decided that.
Slow motion is something I did not create. I didn't start that whatsoever. Like robot, I didn't start that.
You know.
But slow motion, I became famous for changing the way slow motion look. So most of the people who do their popping and start to do slow motion, they do that under my brain.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do slow motion the way old pantomime do it, which is very extreme.
Right.
They do it sort of like it's almost as they move normally and they caught this up.
Right.
That, without doing shapes, is not true animation, but it's under the umbrella of what Bop and Dre did, which is his version of the movie Not Boogaloo. So they took the word animation as a new word that's not say bopping. Slow motion is now used under the animation style. You're animating. But remember, everything you're doing, whether it's fast or slow, is animation. But the way you look, which is my girl Keumsae is trying to say, we're looking for a specific theme to be animated. You can still tie waves as animation. Always. That's what I did. I did versions of waves. I was never the best waver. I was never the best at them, but I did them. Arm wave, body wave, through the back, and on the ground waves. I did those things. Mm-hmm. And other people could do them much better than me.
But like that's what I'm saying. But like we have to decide what type of animation we're looking for. Maybe not, and we not communication about that. Is actually everything, even just wave. I'm animating.
So you are animating.
This.
So I'm repeating to tell you that you are animating when you're waving.
That's what I'm saying. Hold on. Like we are not looking for that
in a dance context.
That's why we have a confusion right now.
Let me, if I can make a comment real quick. So
I can hear it.
To see if it's clear. If this is clear.
What are you saying?
In animation, in the dance context, of animation, you need to be moving in a vibration texture. That is, you are animating. So slow motion in itself is not animation. Um, Rewind, going reverse is not animation, and waving is it's a waving. It's not animation in the dance context. But once you put that vibration texture on top of anything, then that's animation. Is would you say, Andre?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes and no.
Huh? I cannot hear. What you say?
Yes and no. Let me. I get what you're saying. Watch.
Why I cannot hear you?
Like,
I don't know. I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to make it clear because I don't want anybody to get too confused about it. So, number one, if you want to keep a purist idea, like real form. You know how you got red, and then you got red light. As light gets it turns, it become rose like, it become pinkish. It gets to it turns away from red. The pure line animations, just the word alone defines that if you're trying to communicate to anybody that you're unreal, moving like in stop frame very fast, would be the vibration motion.
all right,
That's why you would call it 3D or strobing or whatever. That's the closest word when you don't say Sinbad, which means just as a character,
right,
using the same technique. Means if I Sinbad, I'm supposed to be communicating to you that I'm something. Like I'm a creature. I'm moving, but I'm a creature.
right.
I'm an elephant. I'm doing something to give you a creature's motion.
Correct.
That's what Sinbad means. Add a character.
Right.
Take the character away and just use the technique. I can still do this and look at you. I'm a person looking at you now, but I'm moving in the technique.
Yes.
Right? This would be true form animation.
Okay.
And to learn that, you need to be true form, slowing those rhythms down. That's the timing. I didn't mean go slow motion with it. I didn't mean go.
Right.
I mean, it was a tick. I'm going this. Now I go slower. That's me learning how to get that.
Right.
That
This
that
jitteriness, this jittery,
jittery.
yeah,
You want the effect of jitteriness. It
jitteriness.
ain't just go and stop. It's have that jitter, that little shake, that quiver, something from point A to point B. That's true animation. And if you can do that slow or fast, you're still animated. Why? Well, I mean that's why I said it's not. If I can do this like this, I'm moving pretty quick.
Right.
But if I can do that like this, I'm moving some smoothness and some jitter. It's still animation.
Okay.
Just to have the jitter effect is what you're communicating to the person watching you.
Okay.
Now, when you tick, do you have a jitter effect? You definitely have a stop motion.
Right. But it's not complete. Like something inside.
There you go. See, it's the start. The effect isn't there.
Right. It's like if I was making a stop motion film and I saw someone ticking, I'd be like, we need to speed it up. We need to speed it up, and
you would say,
then it'll be animation. It'll be
there you go. Every cartoon, every film, every cartoon, everything since the time we had motion for inanimate objects, even motions of people. They take snapshots of you. The film is just taking more camera pictures of you.
Yes.
If it went and stopped, you'd be in the middle like this. They wouldn't say you animated.
Right.
You on film.
Right.
And then went to the next one. They say, oh, it's slide buck or it's click motion.
Right.
They would come up with another name for.
Right.
They probably wouldn't call it ticking.
Right.
But whatever that effect is, if they slowed it down and you only caught bits of them moving.
Yes.
They're moving to the door. They don't even do this in film. They don't take a bullet and show the bullet went halfway and then we'll go another second and then they show the person's eye go next. They don't show that in film. They show motion and they'll show slow motion though. That's why they call this another thing of animation. So it's kind of hard because in film, if I was shooting a gun at you, they may show the bullet, slow it down enough that you can see the bullet coming out. It don't stop and tick, but it's coming at you and they show you go, oh!
Right.
You miss you or blow your head off or whatever it may be.
Right.
So that's why they try to add the fact that in film, sometimes there's no glitches. All I animation today, which is computer generated, don't have glitches anymore. The creatures that they move ain't in stop motion. So when my girl says, "What are you looking for in the death world?" I tell her, "You guys are just looking at old time. You're looking at for vintage filmmaking techniques. You're looking for that. Because if you take a computer generated and move a bat, it can be smooth as I don't know what. There's no glitch in it. He's look, there's no this. There's no
Right. No, there isn't.
there's just this.
Right.
It's so smooth. And the
Okay.
only time you get this, and when you get that new movie, cartoons as well, that don't have glitches, they use slow motion for their effect. Since
Right.
it's all real, they slow the film down. So when they focus, that only with focus. So they show the person talking, they show a picture flip to another person talking, then they go, this person's going to reach for a gun. They show he reaching slow motion. In animation, cartoons,
Yes.
he reaches slow motion, he pulls it out. He go, ooh, and then he go, and the bullet takes time, the hair be flying, poof. They only use slow motion, no ticking.
Right. So I think what we need to I think what confuses people is because what we just said was animation, which was the jittery movement moving towards that is the purest, that's that pure
That's
form.
the purest form of animation.
Right. And then slow motion is not that jittery effect, that's different. But then when we talk about current films of animation,
it's now animation, current evolution.
okay.
The evolution of animation was jittery click and slow motion. That's
Okay.
where we are.
That's the current. Okay. Okay.
That's the current.
The current. Okay.
There's no film out today. No film movie making person today making any clicky, glitchy side effect monsters whatsoever. There's no cartoons even moving like that.
Okay. Okay.
The technology is faster. The film vision to the eye effect is easier on you. Yes. We don't got glitchy no more. They don't make no glitchy nothing modern. That's a thing of the past. That's vintage. That's something that's as old as I am. Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And y'all looking for vintage, but y'all looking for vintage animation as an effect. Oh, they got to take you back in the day.
Right. Okay. Question. Is NPC animation?
Yes, it is, but it's current.
Okay. NPC is the
NPC is computer generated movement that's on current format, slow motion but sped up, so it looks more normal. But the reason why they move it, they make them move back and forth. NPC has a repeat pattern. That's the cartoons being repeated to give it breath or whatever.
Okay.
So look, if I stand here and just do this, I'm really doing a circle to get that breath.
Right. Right.
And then I move, or I can shoot to the move. Yeah, I can get there quick, or I can get there bouncy like a puppet.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like
it's modern. It's modern animation.
Modern animation of the NPC. Okay. Okay. Question: is dime stops the foundation of animation?
The dime stop is the learning. Take a new seat. Dime stop is not the foundation of animation, but dime stop is the actual technique to provide, when you speed it up, animation. So look, let's go back to this. When you draw a picture, just a picture of a stick man, and you put it in front of you, it ain't animated. Remember I told you the statue that don't move?
Right.
Then you ain't animated. That's not the base of animation. If you can't move, stop moving. Stop moving. Just stand there. Just do the statue and stand there.
Oh yeah, if I'm like this.
Okay, if you stay there and don't do nothing, then you're gonna be what you are. Stuck picture. That's a photo. That's a moment in time. You're not animating. Now do one motion away from that. One version away.
Like this.
Okay. When you do this, you're not animating, but you're building the framework of animation. Now try to do that fast as you possibly can.
Right. Oh, then like this.
Yeah. When you do this, you're on the back. Look, go slow first. Do a tick slow. Go. Try to do the same increment, a clock. Now go back up a little faster than you can down. Now go faster than that going down loose with vibration pieces in it. So everything that went faster than the tick that was stopped or slow is animated. There's an animation going. You might be animation when you say you're ticking, like 1, 2, 3. And what you're using is dime stop to come to your stop. We're calling that stop motion, the dime stopping. Like if I get here and just freeze everything,
Right.
freeze everything, your face, your body, nothing moves. That's the dime stop version. Let's be in a statue.
Yes.
Now move to the next one and freeze everything then. That's another one. Okay, that's the base of trying to speed that up. That creates. I was in motion, and you call every frame. We should have called this frame. Ticking should be called frame.
Interesting frames, right?
You know, you're in framework.
Right.
And when you move in framework, now it's the speed. Now, if I go 30 miles an hour, I'm a little quicker.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
And if I did the same thing, but now I'm going even quicker. Now I'm even faster.
Right.
I'm moving, but there's some shakes.
Right.
Now I'm moving so smooth, it's almost normal.
Right.
And now I'm moving normal.
Right. I love it. I love the progression.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just this is not only what we have done in the past to the future, it's what we're doing now, and we're putting on different names because the effect looks different.
Right. Okay.
It's not that the technique is different.
The effects are different. Technology
changes.
Right. Right.
And the speed is moving. Our speed limit in animations is what makes a robot, because people don't hardly do a vibrating robot. They haven't figured that out. But if you stand as a robot and vibrate and move, you're animating the robot. You're still doing the robot, but you're doing mechanical pieces to it. Whereas if you do waves, you're not doing a robot, but if you add the vibrations to it, you can still make your wave very shaky.
So
and that's animating your wave.
I think a key takeaway.
Oh, it's almost 2. I'm talking too long. She was trying to let me know. But keep going.
No. I think a few questions I want to ask. I know where it's 2:00 now.
I'm not worried about time. I only got one DJ gig.
Okay.
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. This is great right here.
Also, for anyone else that's here as well, there's a question you have. I know, Zilla's here, Colin. Feel free to write it here so I can ask that question. Okay. Question: Is animation okay? Is animation dance what we're doing? Is that a dance? Like doing this? I guess this is my confusion. Let me clarify.
Animation is not a dance.
Hold on. Let me clarify.
I already got your answer.
No. I made a mistake.
So I got your answer.
I think I made a mistake, so I want to retract myself. I understand that animation comes from, it's a film technique. Also, people use it in different ways of bringing stuff to life. And I understand that dancers are imitating these stop motion characters, the vibration to become this animated character. I guess what I'm trying to say is there seems to be this confusion because poppers have the Fresno, they have the walkout, wavers, they have certain foundational moves for their steps. House has their step, locking has their step. So they're dance styles, but there's something with animation that seems confusing. There's something of like it doesn't seem to have its own steps. It doesn't seem to. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It made exactly 100% sense of what you're saying, and I don't know if anybody's ever listened to me say this forever, but I'm not a dancer. I'm glad that the dancing community has accepted me and put me in dancing. When I robot, I don't even think a robot dance. It's not saying that when you have a robot, it can't dance. But a robot's a robot by giving you the communication that is unlocked, as heavy as mechanical. You're not moving just because the music moving unless you want to. And if you can vibrate anything, and I do mean anything, even a dance, you could be animated. Animation just means add the technique to whatever you're doing.
Okay. That's
playing pool. If you add a shake to playing pool, if you want to dance to music and you're shaking, you can add a shake to anything, any dance that's out there, even hip hop dances. If you add a vibration to it, you're killing it because most people don't think to do that.
Right. It seems people are stuck on robot as the form of like
because they had to learn to get so they wanted to do 2 things. The first thing they wanted to do is to look unreal, the effect of looking unreal.
Right.
The effect of looking unreal is what make all these effects that we're doing in this umbrella of popping to me, which is now called animation to me. It's the umbrella. It's to look unreal. When you're animated, you're supposed to look unreal.
Right.
There's an effect.
Right.
So slow motion, it's not that you're not a real person, but you stop time, and it's supposed to look unreal, going quick.
Right.
This is unreal. Oh my God, this dude moves back like that. How do you know that? He's just shaking. I don't know if he's shaking or not. I don't know what he's doing, but it looks like he's just moving quick for some reason. I don't know. Okay, that's unreal. That's animated. Now, I didn't say it's animated because I was in the true form of animation. Listen, true form of animation, I need to do this fast thing and have quivers and shakes between it.
Yes.
But all I did was sped up the film.
Yes.
Just like slowing it down. There's no shaking.
No.
It's just slowing it down for the modern framework pantomime.
Okay.
Right? Now, do we have our own movements as an animator in true form? No. And we don't need it. You don't need every person to get into a contest and do exactly the same thing to be formulated as a dance. Every other dance in the world, regular dance, has a pattern.
Right, which is so interesting.
1 2 1 2 loop. 1 2 1 2 loop.
Right.
Do it to the left, do it to the right.
Yeah, left to the
Every
right.
other dance has a pattern.
Yes.
Animation is a technique. It is not a pattern of a dance. It's how you do it. Now, as an example, you can move still. That's a pattern. It's a different technique. It's a different texture. You can be stiff when you dance. 1 2 3 4. That's like people doing the robot.
Right.
Or you can be loose.
Right.
Or you can be super wavy, snaky. You can do all these things. Those are textures.
Right.
Those are textures. If I say 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, or 1 2 3 4, same pattern, but the texture.
Okay.
One's loose, one's tight.
Yes.
I can also go 1 2 3 4. I go 1 2 3 4.
Right.
That's texture.
Right.
The speed, the timing, the slow. If it's hard, it's texture. It's not the pattern of the dance itself.
Got it. Okay. Animation
does not need a pattern. The animation is not a certain type of move you do. Okay, people have the closest to being an animated popper with a pattern is everybody doing Cobra with vibration. It's already everybody goes this.
Right.
They do. They go round.
Right.
And they turn around in a circle. That's a pattern.
Okay.
And everybody use tacos or that kind of pattern. Taco pattern. Waving taco pattern. They use that as animation. That's a base. Everybody learned that.
Okay.
All right. That's the closest thing to an animated pattern.
Okay.
Yes. Look, if I do.
Right. Everyone doing the Cyclops and the
Avatar
and the
yes, those are everyone who's doing those. It's a pattern.
Got it. Because they need
it's an animated pattern. They want everybody to associate that too. So if you went to any event, one moment, I'm not going nowhere. You might hear me. I don't even know if you would or not.
Oh, I think you're muted, Andre. Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Something happened to your audio. Let me unmute you. Keumsae, can you unmute?
Send the address and I'll talk.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now, yes.
He talked to his sister. I think that's a really right. Yeah.
I have a gig.
You have some cowboy party today.
Oh,
so, yeah.
I'm back. I was back.
Okay.
So you got that right?
Yes.
The closest thing animators got is any Sinbad reference.
Right.
whether it be Cyclops or Pegasus, whatever, and people recognize that.
Right.
And the most important thing they recognize is the Taco Cobra old man.
Yes.
Okay. So if you get to any competition to do that, everybody will say, "Woo!" Because that's
That's animation. That's animation right there.
it ain't true form for everything.
Okay. I
But it is
feel that what right now what you've shared has cleared up at
a
least
lot.
exactly. I would say it has cleared up a lot, and I would recommend everyone that's coming to any animation event or so to watch and to hear what we just shared because I feel like
Yeah.
that has cleared. We after this conversation, we shouldn't see if someone watched this video. I would say that we shouldn't be seeing someone just waving and being saying I'm animating, or someone doing flexible movements saying I'm animating. Like I feel it was clear here what was talked on.
Yeah, I'm hoping to them you to know that honestly, they could be animated, it's just not true form. And like my brother trying to say, people are supposed to be looking for the vintage version, the claymation version to call it animation.
Right.
But you can also do slow motion. Remember, that's modern. So between these two, you can do a lot. You can do it. You can do the wave, which is just a movement or pattern, and add glitchy to it,
Right.
or slow motion to it, and you still be animated.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You can do the robot. The robot is not animation,
Right.
but you could add vibrating to robot,
Right.
and that would be he's vibrating while he's doing that. That's the animation version. Or you can slow motion the robot.
It seems, Andre. It sounds like it's the two extremes, either speeding it up very or slowing it down.
Yes,
That seems to be. It seems when you
that's
become.
a common thread.
Yeah, it seems like if you're in the middle, then it's like no, not. We
Well,
need.
no, you can. I don't think that. Well, no, I'm not
It's
going to
like
mess you up.
ticking, because
When
ticking.
you get a Q-tip, it's only two fuzzy ends. The sting in between is putting together, but the Q-tip is that's the only part you hold the middle,
Right.
you use the end.
Right.
So you like ticking, it's a base, and people still see a different effect in free flow, but they don't see the speed effect
Right.
until you speed it up.
Right.
So people can all read ticking.
Mm-hmm.
So a person can get in and tick a whole competition from place to place as their base. Tick, 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 tick,
Yes.
tick, with wave cover. But
Yes.
in the middle of that goes slow motion, and a free flow in slow motion, or in the middle of those vibration.
Yeah.
And tick, tick, tick. And they would be animated.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like it didn't even have to be robotic.
No. Mm-hmm.
People get into the robot because it was the best way to control your whole body.
Right. It makes sense.
Robot is how you get your dime stops focus.
Got it.
You don't have to animate. You don't have to robot to animate. You just have glitches, goes and comes. It don't got to be even perfect. You don't have. You can wave. I can do this, and you can see some glitchiness.
Yes.
Right. I can speed that up,
Right.
or I can slow it down.
Right.
Go deeper. Okay. I didn't have to have no robot in that. Didn't have to be mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say why everybody like robot, it's because they wanted the basic foundation and control of their body.
Right. Right.
That's why you robot.
And which
you want to control your body, make it still stop, like control your body.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
And you can make the effect that you control your body in the middle of motion. You stop it, go back and forth,
Right.
go out to that. You know your body is glitchy because you think I'm just moving. Stop.
Right. It's like training it, helping it.
It is training and helping.
Training
it's
and helping.
It's the basic of training.
Yeah, basic training.
Basic training.
Easy to control your body. You know,
it's actually hard to get, but once you get the robot good, you're controlling your body easier.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Andre, here's a few last questions. Andre, and Keumsae, I want to hear as well.
Yeah.
What
chicken noodle soup, baby.
Chicken noodle soup.
What do you consider? What makes someone a great animator? there's people that do it, but what would you say, in your opinion, you're like, they got it? What would you say
Okay.
it's a great anime?
Okay. Here's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Many of the people who could really dance. I mean, they know how to dance, social dance,
Mm,
the ladies dance,
mm,
but can then imitate the body control, like whether it be mechanical stopping, which is why you sort of you mentioned fiction. I think fiction is a great animal.
mm,
He's animating that between his dance, he can do the regular dance in the same style.
mm,
He don't come out and do the regular dance. Let me do this. So if I'm doing this, it's regular dancing. This is not animated. This is not nothing but the regular dance, whether it's house or not. But he'll do kum kum. And that's why Les Twins was good. They also stop in the
right,
middle of whatever they're doing and have a glitch or a
right.
stop or a back and forth motion to make it look like they have more control of their body.
Mm,
And the fact that they can kick, they kick and freeze or double beat up. Come
yeah.
on. And this is what Dragon House is doing, what Fiction was doing, some Kid of the Great. They got a lot of names of these viral animated dancers who are doing it. They're doing glitches.
Mm, okay.
In between that, they're doing tug or kick or split or whatever. So they're great to me.
Okay.
So many.
But when they also move a lot, which people love motion, the person who robots commands attention.
Mm,
So you watch a person who moves a lot and go, wow, look at all the moves they do. But when you watch a person take their time to slow down, they command your attention. You wait to see what could they do.
right, right. It's like pulls them in.
Yes, you just that was it. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So if I get them to do this, you're like, oh, he got a lot of energy. Ooh, that's crazy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then they person just get them to go, boom. That robot, half a hit is heavy. They move a little bit. You go, ooh, they shake a little bit. You go, ooh, what's wrong?
Yeah.
You go, ooh, God, how can we do that?
Yes.
Because they're commanding your attention by not moving a lot,
Mm,
not just how much they flash through.
okay. Kumse, if you want, what would your review of when you say, dang, they're like, that's a great animator? What would you say?
Oh, I don't want to say anything.
No,
I don't want to.
go
I
ahead
don't
and
want to
say it.
answer this question.
Listen,
What do
I don't
you
want to
like?
answer this question. No,
answer this question, Keumsae.
no, I don't want
I
to.
want to hear this.
What makes you like, wow, I like I really and then, it's not how everyone else sees this, how you see it. What makes you go, wow, that person was really dope at animating?
Because recently I decided what type of animation I'm looking for. So I have already judgment, like so I'm looking for this type of animation right now.
Hmm.
So I cannot really say for what I like. I have to say who I like about it, or I have to talk about it like who really good at this. So that's really confusing to me, and I want to be careful what I'm saying because I already have a judgment. I like cremation animation, like cremation type animation.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just keep looking for only for cremation type of animation. But animation is not just only that, right? We have a lot of different ways to show the animation. So I cannot really say, oh, I think this guy is so dope. There's so many good people for a lot of different ways, like different ways to they showing their animation. So I cannot pick
I
who
like Jake
is.
Smooth's animations. He
Jason.
did a pattern. I like Jake
This
Smooth's
cremation,
animation.
this that
I
yeah, I
also
like
like
it too.
Kid.
I like it too.
What's his name? His name is Kid. What's that dude's name? Kid. What's his
Ooh.
Kid?
What's his
See?
name? He got something Kid. No,
Not
Kid
Kid.
Boogie.
Kid Boogie.
I
Okay.
seen Kid Boogie's animation a little bit too.
Okay.
Oh, because he have a lot of
Yeah,
vibration on it.
yeah. He been working on it. So there are a lot of people who got good vibrational, glitchy, strobe-like animation. I've seen them,
Okay.
and when I see them, I do not know if it's the lens of the camera because I didn't get to see them in person.
Right.
Oh,
But
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I know who
uh,
with
uh,
the title said you.
Oh yeah, you sound pretty good. I'm pretty good.
And you
Yeah.
made it, Jay. You.
I'm really good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's my girl.
You. You.
But wait a minute. But wait a minute. Let me say something while I'm on that track. From Dragon House, there's Android, and he looked like another new, younger version of me. I'm just saying, I like how he controlled his body. He went into a little click.
I like they unreal.
I know that real part, but he did that. He did that the last Unimate thing. I like
Yeah,
that.
they have
So,
really great.
so I can name a lot of people who are doing what I call at least pieces of true form, and I give them way more credit because I know it's harder to do.
Okay.
It is very hard. It ain't that hard to tick, but when you start speeding up or vibrating moving, there's a lot of better energy. So for anybody to do more than a few moments of it,
Right.
then I give them credit for that.
Right. Okay. Okay. A
Happy
que-
Nadja.
this question it doesn't have to be specifically on animation or robot. It can be in general, but if whatever you want to share of what is one of the most your favorite battles you've experienced or you saw, or a moment where you saw someone do something crazy. What's a memory you have that you're like, damn, I'll never forget that, like what they did that day or night, like what is there a memory that comes up when it comes to seeing someone else or yourself in a battle or
Well, that's hard for me because lately I just got a new phone and I'm also just watching a lot of Facebook, TikTok stuff. And stuff that I see the people doing, it ain't in the grass world only. It's like just incredible stuff.
like
Yeah.
Andre, like before TikTok, before like in your time, what was some of the crazy stuff you see that we probably are never gonna see because it was never filmed or anything like that? Is there anything that a memory?
You just talk about you talking about personal memory.
Yes, a personal memory of it, maybe a battle, a competition.
Yeah, always a battle. Battles were very important in the street back then, like you confronting somebody to prove that you can do something. So I have at least three. There's a guy who was named, they don't name his name a lot now. His name was Scully. Scully was a Compton popper, and he battled. The first time I see one person take on like 5 or 6 people, like bravery, like I'm gonna challenge you, you ain't gonna stop me. And he looked good in his confidence. My influence of value behind him doing triple. Number 2, Robot Dane's light bulb vibration.
Okay.
When he got me, make me become an elevator. That's how I became an elevator to move with it. Because his taking the light bulb out and licking was tight. The same people, but there was a guy from Shalimar called Jeffrey Daniels. He had the cleanest backslide. We call it the moonwalk because y'all call it the moonwalk and call it backslide. And he did it with this group called Shalimar Shrine Auditorium. First time I've ever seen it gliding on air.
Wow.
Best version.
Wow.
I ain't seen anybody beat that version. Not even today. I came close for a while after I practiced, but I still think he just had the smoothest version.
Wow.
And one more was Skeeter Rabbit, rest in peace. Now, really nice. He did the tidal wave when he came to the school. The first time I ever seen a person put their head back and bend into it and then stand up. It was called a tidal wave. And it was like if you was really nimble, like somebody like Flat Top or even Midnight or even Daryl Stokes, they could do this because they had a dude called King Boogaloo Touch. And he could stand still and do the limbo, like, and then come back up. And that was still his version of the title.
Wow. Okay.
The latest thing, though.
How many people?
I said 4. 4 people. 4 people. Well, I'm not even trying to mention Dexter, who was the best robot I've ever seen. There's a guy from New York called Storyboard P.
Yes. Yep.
Storyboard P's glides. I ain't talking about his. It ain't so much of the style or how he, but when he glides and his control of glide is bar none very impressive,
Yes.
mysterious and otherwise.
Yes. Yep.
Those are. I said four, but I put that in. But yeah, Storyboard P is the most latest person, and I'm not talking about just some crazy moves, but that's the style of somebody moving.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Kumse,
Yes.
what are a memory you have of a battle or someone you saw that you never gonna forget?
So many. Oh my goodness. But
You
if
got it.
I recently,
I'm gonna go. You guys, I love you.
I don't know. I can tell like, but
Look, I'm gonna go.
you have to say
Guys, Merry Christmas. I was just saying
Okay,
goodbye.
Andre.
cowboy party.
Thank you, Andre,
Cowboy
for
Paul.
sharing. Thank you. I really appreciate your time sharing this
Yes, sir.
information. So
We can do this anytime you want.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay, Andre.
All right.
All right.
Martin.
Yes. Martin. Okay.
Yeah, I see him in the that's really shock actually for as a robot, you know. And then Bob and Andre cremation made me
Mm,
really surprised. But yeah, because the cremation is I think in for to me in I'm the first one I see somebody really doing that fact, imitating that fact. That's the first thing I saw in Bob and Andre.
mm,
And that's a recently who I'm getting with.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What would you I see him in the background. Um,
Taking a cookie on me.
what would you like to see in the community in the future, Kumse, in this robot animation community? What would you like to see happen or more of, or where would you like it to go?
I think in like so far for my experience for this robot animation community, we see I think we pretty understand for robot for sure. I
Yeah.
think we clear for that, but I think if we still on the way to showing this animation style on the stage for make them understand like clearly. Like I think if we working on it, I probably a lot of people right now is working on it. You know what I mean? Because we still unclear for this. So even though we go on the stage, we cannot really showing for good communication with the crowd. You know. So I'm thinking hopefully maybe this year, I don't know, next year we can show it more clear for so a lot of people coming and they even can even we don't even have to explain because a robot we don't have to explain. They
Right.
already can go, oh wow, this robot, this style is robot. But animation is until now we recently started to like open up this animation the e-band like everywhere now, but still a lot of people come and watch and they getting confused too. This is freestyle or this is like
Right.
hip hop is a they confused about this style. So hopefully like we can more showing better.
Yes.
Like I think that's what I'm yeah hoping for.
I believe after these interviews and a lot of conversations, I believe that the animation contest it'll start to look more uh like there's gonna be it's not gonna look like freestyle. I believe it's going to start looking more the vibrations, the slow motion.
Mm.
I think we'll see that more. I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so too. But I think it's still, we have a really long communication today, but still I think we have to decide it what type of animation we're looking for, you know what I mean? Like because to me so far is a lot of people thinking animation is the vintage animation, like the Sinbadding, but to me that's only one type of animation too, So I don't know. I think that's we have to decide it. Maybe not, and then we're gonna keep seeing is it just. I think it's some little founded little rule, like something. Maybe not just gonna be like just all look like a freestyling.
What would you say is the different types of animation? What are in your view? I know you
Because even really really you just thinking about for technique wise animation. Okay, so stop. timing control or something like that, right? And then maybe you're doing just a grooving like hip hop like this, and you stop
Right.
and like this can be animation too.
But then, according to Andre, you need to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like what, but that one is also traditional, like the old film, the Sinbading kind of back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're looking for this kind of old school vintage back, or we're looking for just technique wise. So like maybe you focus on technique, meaning anything you do and just stopping or moving fast, that can be animation too. But that's not what we're looking for, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
So that's the I think that's the we have to decide it, you know? Like even the waving we doing this and moving faster like that can be animation too. But that's not what we're looking for, right? Like
right.
I think I don't know, we not really talk about that, but a lot of people like looking for what type of animation is pretty much 90% is cremation type animation. They thinking, oh, that's the animation like that.
Right.
Because that's the but the animation real world meaning is like we can be even he said like we can be like just like here, your timing control can be animation too.
Mm. Yeah. And I
So
know like with MPC, you know, that's.
yeah, everything can be like even you had to here is animation too. It
Mm.
comes to life. So I
Mm.
mean that's what I'm thinking about that too. So okay, like I'm thinking just animation is like too big. So I'm like I cannot my image is unclear.
Mm.
So what kind of technique I like to showing people, and then what type of the tapes I like about this animation, and I recently find out oh it's a cremation. That's what I like about it
Mm.
today. So now is I'm trying to go into cremation, but I think yeah,
Interesting.
but not everybody like about cremation fact, and they wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Everybody have a different taste. You know, to even just stopping, and then they wanted to different way to stopping. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
different way to speed control. Not everybody like about oh, just like cremation. This fact is we like about it. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Hmm.
interesting. I know, France has their, their event, Blondie, and
Hmm.
you have in Japan, like, I forget, like Tabo's friend that is out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
all these different groups. So,
The going this time.
huh?
The Paris. Did you go in
Oh, no,
Paris
no,
this
no,
time?
no, no, I didn't know. I know.
But good thing is that every year go by, we're getting better, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
Don't you
think
think
so.
so? That's the
I
good thing.
I think so. I think it's getting clear every year. Um, so
Hope so.
no, no, it's
You're
crazy.
gonna getting better though, for
Yeah,
sure. I believe. Just don't give up and keep going, and then we're
right.
gonna get more organizing. You know.
For sure. I see animation community has a lot of potential. Like there's a lot of things that can like it feels like it's something new. I know people have been doing it for years, but right now it seems like it's a big it's gonna grow. Like something is coming from this. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
that's for sure.
But oh
And
yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Kumse, as well for
love you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for invite us. For
yeah, yeah.
Hi,
yeah.
Keumsae.
Yeah. Who's that?
That's me. It's Colin.
Hey, good
This
to
was
see you,
insane.
bro. Where
Yes.
you at right now?
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm super excited. I'm just getting ready for you to mate. Um,
Ooh. But the good thing is that every year go by is getting more better, you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, thank you guys for
Thank you
coming on,
guys.
everybody. Kumse, take care. Let me know, Kumse, next time you're having a get together, a little hangout.
Yeah, we have to practice,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Let me know. Let me know.
Whenever you have a time, you're so busy every time. You're
Yeah,
doing
just
something.
listen. You know what I wanna have a get together for Unimate. Like I wanna have some day people can hang out. So I need to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think that's dope. That's dope.
yeah, I'll let everyone know. But all right, everyone, take
All
care.
right, guys. Love